So hello and welcome to another Fact Fiend compilation. First things first, I need to shout out the person who spotted the secret message in last month's compilation. They actually didn't want to shout out and they told me instead to just mention a charity that I like. So go support the Jerry Green's Dog Rescue. It's where my old dog Penny came from, pictured here. I loved her, she was the best. Go support the place she came from. And if you'd like a shout out in the next compilation, keep an eye out for the secret message. As for what you're about to see, I've been running a second channel with my friend Lucas for about a year now called Wiki Weekends, which is itself a spin-off of one of Fact Fiend's most popular spin-off series. So what you're about to see is a compilation of 5 of my favourite videos from the last year we've been doing that. Enjoy. So far away Lucas and lovely audience at home, welcome once again to Wiki Weekends, the show where we scour the lengths and breadths of the internet to find a Wikipedia page on something that's interesting and funny to talk about. And today, we're talking about one of my favourite reality TV shows, Bar Rescue. What's your favourite cryptid?
Are we talking about skeletons today?
No, we're talking about bones.
Oh, God.
Do you know anything about the Karate Kid franchise, Lucas? Do you want to hazard a guess at what the show is?
I might think it's Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares.
It is Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares.
I'm not aware of this one. What's this?
Okay, so far away, Lucas. First of all, like, are you aware of Bar Rescue? You don't seem to be too familiar. Like, I'm looking at your webcam now, and you're like,
is it like is it almost like Kitchen Nightmares but for bars?
It's literally just Kitchen Nightmares for bars. Yes, Lucas.
Okay.
And I adore crappy reality TV. It is one of my my biggest flaws in regards to my tastes is that I love crap reality TV, but not specifically like it's. And when you say I like bad reality TV, people think, do you like Love Island? No, I don't like reality TV that, but I like reality TV about niche subjects featuring people who are really, really keen and clued in on that one specific thing to learn more about it. So like Bar Rescue, I'm really interested in this guy who's an expert on bars. Kitchen Nightmares, a guy who's an expert on running a restaurant. We talked about Blown Away before, like people who are super obsessed with blowing glass.
The glory hole is so hot.
Like Metalwork Masters, the same thing with metalwork. There's like that one where they make knives. What's the other one? Like Deadliest Warrior and all that. So I love all shows like that.
I love the bunch of like car restoration shows that they've got on Netflix and stuff as well. And it's like just watching people in reality be good at their craft is really interesting.
Yeah, people who are really into a specific thing and are experts in that field or something I'm maybe not too familiar with or even aware of that exists. I find that very interesting to watch. And alternately as well, I'm just and I think the worst kind of reality TV that I like, and the reason it's bad for me to like it is because it's demonizing me. And it is those documentaries made by Channel 4 that's like, this person's on benefits, and I'm like,
God.
Just think, people don't know, if you're American, there is a very specific subset of reality TV in the UK that is just, look at these fucking paupers trying to rip off the government for its benefits.
21-stone Debbie Wood is morbidly obese and hasn't worked in 4 years.
Yes, it demonises the poor. It demonises the working class people who are struggling. A group that I was in during my childhood, but fucking hell is it compelling to watch.
Yeah, it can be really compelling, and I think it's really funny as well because I've seen coming up on my TikTok a few times lately is people bringing up early 2000s era British reality TV shows and being holy shit, these are so brutal.
They don't care. Yeah,
it's there's one where it was someone was mocking that British TV show and was look at these fat people being fat, look at the fatties, and no way was it like that. And then you look at it and it's oh my God, it was.
Yeah, it straight up is.
Britain is bulging with people who are now too fat to work.
It's the one that I hate that I like it, but it's so compelling, is a reality TV show. It's called Skint. And it was a documentary on the place where I was born and lived for several years, Scunthorpe. I know I always say I'm a northerner. I was born in Scunthorpe, grew up in Pontefract, which is a small colliery town in the north, so I consider myself to be while not by birth a northerner, by choice, that I grew up there, I choose to live in Sheffield, a northern town. Oh, technically I'm from the Midlands, which doesn't mean anything to Americans, but British people have very strong feelings about this.
Is Scunthorpe in the Midlands? I'm really not aware of Scunthorpe
Technically,
very much.
yeah, it's just outside of South Yorkshire, I think, geographically.
Yeah.
So I am technically from the Midlands, but I consider myself to be a northerner because I grew up in a northern colliery town and I've had very working class roots my entire life.
I mean, I'm not from Liverpool, but I've lived here long enough that I've had Scousers refer to me as a Scouser, and I'm like, I've been given the badge of honour.
Yeah, you consider yourself to be a Liverpudlian. So Skin is set in Scunthorpe, and it's about just like people on benefits in Scunthorpe. And the reason it's so compelling for me is I know everywhere that is in that documentary. Like, they filmed it outside my auntie's house.
Scunthorpe. Aside from having a swear word in its name, Scunny's perhaps best known for its steelworks.
Right.
And my auntie was asked to be on the show, and it's like, oh, we're doing a documentary about people on benefits who don't work. My auntie's like, I do work, I've got a job. But she worked nights, so when they knocked on her door, she answered like 11 o'clock in the afternoon in her nightie. And then just looked at her and went, sure you work. Are you sure you don't want £100 to be on this documentary? And she slammed the door in her face. And you can see her house in the documentary. It's so bad.
Life here revolves around a wall where everyone sits, called the wall.
Why do people gather here? Because there's nothing else to do around Westcliff.
So everyone just comes here to chat and just, I don't know, just go to the shop, get a drink, come back here, just chill.
Drink beer, smoke weed.
And like, one of my friends is actually in it because he was around at his mate's house having a beer while they were filming. So he's in the show.
And that's the worst thing, isn't it? Is like, so many of those shows where people got paid like 100 quid, whatever, to then like detail how they're ripping off the government, and then they lost so much money and benefits.
That's why it's fascinating,
because
because it's like people, you know, when you say like they can't be this brutal, like people can't be this stupid, and they are. Like,
say crime don't pay, and it does. Crime does pay. Crime pays better than a fucking proper job.
There's a guy on the show, and he's on the show. He's like the main person in the documentary. He's got like 8 kids. He's on benefits, and he talks about, I used to work at steelworks.
I was on 1,400 quid a week on the steelworks. 1,400? When I first started. I did every call out, I did every hour going.
You know, but then I got fired like 10 years ago. My mum watched the show with me. We were watching it. She went, no, he didn't. And I was like, what? I went to school with him. I literally went to school with him. If he started work and has been like unemployed for as long as he said, he would have started work at 10 years old. And he said this on national TV. Like, he's on national TV saying, yeah, I worked in this massive place for 10 years, then got fired and been laid off. And something you could just prove by just asking the place where he worked. And they're like, no, he's never worked here.
It's like, do you have any record of him on company like records? No.
Yeah. And he just had such confidence to be like, yeah. And it's fascinating. Like, people were doing, like, on the show, doing cash-in-hand work and bragging about it on a TV show about how they're on benefits. And then not declaring that income, then getting caught the next week. And it's like, how? And it's, like I say, it's fascinating.
No idea how they got me. No idea how they figured it out. It's like, you admitted it on national TV.
And that's the thing, you know, speaking of, like, why would you admit this on national TV? Bar Rescue is an American reality television series that airs on Paramount Network, formerly Spike, during its first 5 seasons. It stars John Taffer, a long-time food and beverage industry consultant, specialising in nightclubs, bars, and pubs. He offers his professional expertise, renovations, and equipment to desperately failing bars in an effort to save them from closing. And I would argue, while Kitchen Nightmares is the one everyone knows, right? Or Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares for the British version. And, like, you know, it's Gordon Ramsay goes in, tries to save the restaurant. There's, like, a very infamous statistic that, like, 70% of the restaurants on Kitchen Nightmares close a year later.
But he's coming into failing restaurants that were about to shut anyway.
Yeah, so, like, you know, the fact he saved 30% of them is still impressive. But Gordon Ramsay doesn't actually do that much. Or if he does, it's not really explained on the show. And one of the reasons I like Bar Rescue is because they'll give actual reasoning for the changes that they're making. For example, like, you know, when he goes into a bar and he's like, okay, so do you free pour? And obviously they're a bar, and it's like, yeah, we free pour. And he goes, well, you're losing this much alcohol.
An overpour of 3 ounces of liquor reduces the total servings per bottle to 11 cocktails. This translates into total sales of only $77, resulting in a loss of $112 potential revenue per bottle.
It's like, what? And they'll have like a little breakdown, like, here's how much the average person will overpour by in a bar. If you have this many customers in a year, this is how much money you're losing. Then he'll present that to the owner. So he's not just going in and saying, stop doing the way you're doing. He explains why. It's like, you're losing money. Or like, they'll say stuff like, what is your bar laid out like? Okay, we've got a couple bar stools and a few tables. And he'll go, you want it laid out this way? Like, why? And then he'll show you a breakdown again of research that's been done. If a bar's laid out this way, you promote foot traffic in this way, and it results in an increase of 14% in drink sales. And the fact that he explains it to both the audience and, like, you know, the people that he's going with, it just seems more legit.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, you don't know how much is or isn't occurring behind the scenes with Kitchen Nightmares. Like, you can never know on these TV shows how much they actually show, how, you know, how many things are scripted, etc., etc. But like, yeah, it's always nice to like have a actual reasoning to be like, no, this is why we are doing X and Y.
Just like, you know, that male part of my brain that likes the number going up really appreciates that John Taffer will break down why the restaurant's not working. It's like Gordon Ramsay goes in like, your food's shit and your service is shit. It's like, well, we know that.
What is that? Fucking pigeon. Oh my god.
Like, what else? But like John Taffer will go in and be like, okay, so you're selling beer. Okay, beer's it's terrible for like markup wise. Like, you want to be selling like, you know, shorts and cocktails. And like, why? They're hard to make. He goes, yeah, but a good cocktail barman can make a cocktail in like, you know, 2 minutes, and that cocktail has this much of a markup on it. You'll make this much more money. And the fact he tells them that and he explains it in that numbers way, and you know, I've learned a lot from the show. You know, as a former barman myself, I find it really fascinating.
Yeah, and one thing I found fascinating is like watching a video not long ago, like last few days, it was like someone breaking down, oh, well, if you taste this at room temperature and you taste it like, you know, 3 degrees, you'll actually get less of the flavor because like the temperature takes away from the flavor. And that's why all of the cheap, shitty beer brands market themselves to be sold as like cold as possible.
Yeah,
because it takes the flavor, the you know, the just the nastiness away from the beer.
There's like another fascinating aspect. It's like, you know, little things like that where he'll talk about, like, you know, oh, you want to frost your glasses. So why? Because frosting your glasses means you can drink it quicker, and if people can drink it quicker, then you get more sales. Like food, and like, well, do you sell food? And like, no, we don't really sell food. It's like, well, you should sell food because people eat food more likely. They're going to spend at least half an hour in your bar. That's
and
like,
as well, they'll be less likely to leave to go get food. Like some people might, if they're hungry. Like, you know, you've got them trapped in, essentially, of like,
it's
food there. Yeah,
it's a fascinating industry. Like, just now, I'm drinking out of a cup now, so I can't really showcase it. But something that I find absolutely just, like, again, fascinating is the design of beer glasses, for example. Where beer glasses, like millions of dollars of R&D goes into designing beer glasses to make it look like when you've got a third of your beer left, that there's only 1 swig left.
Right, yeah.
Like, they're specifically designed, like, you know, people had like the beer glass like big on top and stuff like that. There is so much money that goes into making beer glasses look like they're nearly empty when they're actually still quite full. Because psychologically, that makes you want to go get another drink.
On the left, we have a standard pint glass. On the right, we are using the Nonic glass, part of Cardinal's line of nucleated glasses. The nucleation sites are created through controlled breaks in the smoothness and texture on the bottom of a glass. This technique makes for a much more appealing beverage by promoting head retention for visual appeal, as well as an enhanced aroma for the constant flow of carbon dioxide bubbles.
And as well, you're more likely, how many times you see it where like, oh, I've only got a little bit left, I'll just chug this bit and go to the bar.
Yep. And, you know, there's like, that, again, fascinating to me. But we have here, a typical episode begins with Taffer's team performing reconnaissance and surveillance on a struggling bar to determine its operational and service weaknesses, which is another thing I really like. And, you know, how much about his stage we don't know. And later seasons, they really play up, like, you know, John Taffer bursting in and be like, hey, I'm John Taffer, because by that point, he's a well-known figure.
I asked you not to show or move your boobs. Within 1 minute of walking out of here, you were standing there like this. If your chest is more important to you than your wallet, you're an idiot. Do you get that? Your mother has a sickness.
Right.
You know, he's you know, that Gordon Ramsay-like figure of walking in and was like, oh my god, it's John Taffer. Whereas early seasons, he just walks in and goes, so you wrote to my show, right? You bar shit.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of plays up his personality in later seasons, so I don't like it as much, but like, yeah, they'll just do reconnaissance and they'll like say, oh, that's bad bar service, or that's bad habits, and he'll highlight little things like that.
One thing that you obviously don't get in something like Kitchen Nightmares, where it's like, oh no, we all prepared that Gordon Ramsay is walking through and getting these meals, and like we know who he is, we're gonna be polite to him, etc., etc.
Which also, to me, is always baffling that you'll watch like Kitchen Nightmares and Gordon Ramsay walks in and he'll say, give me something off your menu, and you'll just see Chef chuck it in microwave. It's like I've never understood that they've got the balls to put it in the microwave and give it to Gordon Ramsay. So I respect that.
You would imagine, right? Like, and some people do. Some people like go out of the way to specially prepare the meal for Gordon themselves and stuff, and like put the roll into it. But then you just get some people, who have the audacity to be, I don't give a flying fuck who you are.
Just whack it in microwave, bish bosh, job done.
Chef Mike.
Is there anything today that I ate that wasn't microwaved? The salad.
The other thing that I quite like, he, in addition to going over changes he believed could be made to management, customer service, and cleanliness, etc., to make the bar profitable, he also examines the bar's financial records to find possible cost savings. That's the other thing. Like Gordon Ramsay never opens up the file. He'll say how much are you in debt. And they'll be like, I'm sunk like 250 grand into this restaurant. He never actually breaks down how much money they need to earn, or their a plan for them to get out of it. Maybe he does behind the scenes. We don't know. But Bar Rescue does, and again, I appreciate that, because the end of the episode usually ends in like a more hopeful manner of like, well, I set them up on the path to make money. Like, if they do what I said, they're like, they'll save this much money and turn over this much. They could be debt free within 2 years. Yeah. He also goes out of his way to fire people who are stealing from the bar and stuff like that.
And that's always the thing, isn't it? It just I don't know how they employ some of the people that they do. Like, I don't know, I've not watched Bar Rescue, obviously, but sometimes when this guy hates me, has been treating me like shit for 10 years, and doesn't respect me at all. But I know he's got a family he needs to look after. It's like,
so that's not your problem.
Fire him. That's not your problem.
Had you guys poured correctly, he would not have lost money last month.
Those girls costed me my business. Those girls cost me my livelihood. This is amazingly stupid.
Yeah, and it goes that brutal thing of then you get both sides. Like, okay, I kind of feel for the waiter or the server, but if they're doing a shit job, but I was in that situation, I didn't do a shit job. So if they were really as desperate for this job as they say, they wouldn't be doing a shit job. They're taking the guy for a ride. And that's all comes into the thing reality TV being specifically designed to make you feel a certain way.
Of course, yeah.
They want you to have that Schadenfreude of seeing someone who's shit at their job, getting their comeuppance, and how much of that is artificially massaged to give you that exact reaction, we don't know.
Yeah, it's I watched a lot of Undercover Boss in the day, and it's that screams to me that they manufacture stuff. It all feels like a veil of fakeness.
Yeah, how do you not recognise what the fucking CEO of your company looks like? Sure, it's I guess somebody wouldn't, but
there is one episode where everybody just stops and starts staring at this guy in the warehouse, and is everyone just starts whispering that I'm pretty sure that's the CEO.
I'm pretty sure that's the CEO.
Yeah,
I can tell because he's shit at doing anything manual labour related.
My name is Peter Francis. I was here to work with you today.
All right, nice to meet you, Peter. This evening, when this guy walked up to me, Peter, Mr. Kevin Sheen.
But the other things I like before we get into the meat of this article, which is failed rescues, which is the bit which is always the most hilarious. There's so many good episodes of Bar Rescue that just went tits up.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I want to shout out is that John Taffer is this no nonsense motherfucker. Every single, not every episode, there's one of the most common trends on Bar Rescue is guy who bought a bar because he wants to hang out with his buddies.
Right, yeah.
And it's always a sports bar, and it's always failing. And John Taffer will go in, and it's the same conversation takes place every single time. He'll ask the guy, so, what kind of bar are you here? We're a sports bar. And he'll break down why that's a stupid idea. It's well, how many sports what do you show? The football, baseball, basketball? All of them. It's okay. What do you show in the off-season? Nothing. Okay, so in the off-season, there's no reason to come to this bar. Okay, first of all, that's stupid. Who's this bar for? And what do you think they say, Lucas, when they ask who's
Everyone.
the bar for? No. It's for his buddies. It's for his mates. It's for guys to get away. They want it, for guys to get away and watch some sports, sit down and have a beer. John Taffer responds every single time.
I don't know.
That's stupid. Your bar should be aiming for women.
Right.
And the owner always be like, well, no, guys don't want to come in if there's like loads of women here. And he goes, have you ever been to any bar?
Yeah.
And I love that he does that, where he breaks it down of every single bar he goes to, it's like a stubborn owner. It's like, who do you want this bar to be for? And they'll always say, like, they'll pitch their desired audience. Like, I want sports guys, I want metalheads, punk fans. Like, no, you want women.
And let's see, do the employees pay attention to you or not? Do they make you as a woman feel important there or not?
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't feel right, we got to start there.
Okay.
20 Amy's.
Yeah.
And we're good to go.
We have 80 men. 20 Amy's, you know?
Or she's like the perfect customer.
Right?
Maybe they'll be within the subgenre of, like, people you want to, like, appeal to. But number one, you want women. Because if women come into your bar, they bring more women. And if you've got women in your bar, men will be in your bar. But, and it's that thing of, like, it's not a perfect world, but then he breaks down, like, if you've got a bar that's full of men, it attracts more men. A bar full of men does not attract women. In fact, it puts them off. Here's the statistics that show that. So your bar should aim to attract women and then endeavour to be a place where they feel safe, secure, and able to express themselves.
And one of the things that John talks about all the time is that he's never seen a bar with 200 women in it go broke. And that's where they need to start, is more female-friendly marketing programs.
Yeah, because, as you say, women generally don't go into a bar full of men, but men will often go into a bar full of women.
And that's one of the things he points. And I love that you always get these, like, dinosaur sexist owners of, like, well, no, I don't want women in my sports bar. And it's like, well, your bar's going to close. Straight up.
I can't help myself. I got eye candy. My eyes are open. And she's a baby girl.
The guy was so drunk, it's very uncomfortable. I don't want to hang out in a spot where they overserve all of their patrons.
This is obviously things that they bring up on the show. We're not trying to, like, objectify women here. It's just that, like, generally speaking, those are the statistics, those are the social behaviours, and that's what he's pointing out on the show.
Yeah, and it's just a really satisfying to see, like, these sexist, misogynistic assholes get shut the fuck down, where they're trying, like, no, guys don't want to go. And he's like, well, I've got the numbers right here that says you're wrong. And then, like, they get annoyed about it. It's like, well, you can't argue with the numbers. Anyway, failed rescues. The bars featured on the show are already in dire financial and operational straits. So by the time Taffer intervenes, this poses a significant challenge to a turnaround. Nearly half the bars featured, 74 of the first 166 featured through the midpoint point of season 6, were unable to overcome their challenges, and closed. Which does mean he's got, like, a 50% success rate for failing. That's pretty good.
I was going to say, to rescue 50% roughly of bars that you try to help that are failing businesses.
Many of them are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. That's pretty good, no?
Yeah, to be able to save half of those failing businesses is pretty impressive. Especially, as you say, like, a lot of these owners are, like, really stubborn and stuck in their ways.
And shit.
Decided, like, yeah, and I've decided that, my way is best. And again, I've not watched this, but how many times when you do the recap of, like, Kitchen Nightmares, the ones that still do exist, a lot of the time it's like, yeah, the owner slowly, like, just started going back into their old ways and their old habits.
It's one of, like, the most infuriating and yet common things you'll see in, like, Kitchen Nightmares and shows of its ilk of Gordon Ramsay will go in and say, you need to make this change, this change, this change, this change, and you'll get new customers, like, but our old customers will hate that. And he goes, well, your old customers aren't paying your fucking bills. and it's just, they cannot get it through their heads, but our customers won't like it. It's like, you mean the customers that aren't allowing you to be profitable? Why do you care?
You put a discount on $9.99.
We do.
So how much discount?
It's buy one get one free. So
50%. So you eat here for $5.
Yes.
Then you look around and you look at the customers. Half them would be eating for nothing.
On the buy one get one free vouchers that have been in place historically to attract people through the door. The spend per head is very low because.
But more importantly, they're dining off, aren't they?
And it's just like, it's one of those things where it seems so obvious, like, watching the show, but then to see the owner being like, well, I don't like this, because what about the customers who come in? It's like, but they're not paying your bills. Why do you care?
You're failing by supporting these people.
Yeah.
Because they are not supporting you. And it's like, I know as well the amount of times when they make the changes, the owner's like, yeah, I've seen the error of my ways. This is so much better. Cut to a year later. Well, I didn't really like any of the changes that Gordon made.
Yeah. Then we have here, so for example, the changes on the show, the show made to Downey's Irish Pub, featured on the 2011 season episode Downey's and Out, were not enough to prevent a planned sheriff's sale due to $2.4 million owed to the city of Philadelphia and the bank.
Oh.
So it's like, yeah, you can't really come back from that, can you? Season 1's Swanky Bubbles, after reverting to its original titles, also closed its doors. The show's first rescue bar of Season 2, Pirates Tavern, which does have its own section and is fucking hilarious, returned to its original pirate theme, but then later closed in April 2015. See below. Which we've got to talk about Pirates Tavern. Like, the Pirates Tavern is hilarious. Other bars, the Chicken Bone, Canyon Inn, Angry Ham's Garage, Weber's Place, the Brixton, Zanzibar, Stand Up Scottsdale, and KC's all reverted to their original names. The Chicken Bone brought back its previously popular menu, while Angry Hams replaced unpopular items with previously popular items from its original menu. So they brought back some changes, but kept others, which I guess works. The Rocket Room 6 in Austin, Texas, reverted to its old name, the Brixton, just 6 weeks after its relaunch. The Rocky Point Cantina in Tempe, Arizona, closed after a repaint of the bar triggered a code inspection, which revealed the show had not obtained permits for the repaint and other modifications. Later, further inspections uncovered years of modifications to the building that had not been completed with the proper permits. The bar owner opted to file for bankruptcy rather than bring his building up to code. Which, you know what? That's not John Taffer's fault.
No, that's not.
Well, here we go. Here's one of my, this is the one that we all want to talk about. So, Pirates Tavern. That's Pirates with Piratz.
Oh, no.
So, the pirate-themed Pirates Tavern in Silver Spring, Maryland, which had been rebranded to the Corporate Bar and Grill by Taffer, reversed all the changes Taffer makes. This is the one where everyone dressed like a pirate.
You think it's funny that she's in debt $900,000?
No, it's not funny at all.
That's good to hear.
Neither is a grown man yelling at the top of his lungs at people who aren't children.
Well, you're dressed like a 6-year-old child. I wouldn't talk about that.
And then he turned it into, he called it literally corporate and just turned it into like a swanky upscale style, like New York yuppie bar. But then they kept all the people there still dressed like pirates.
No, what?
Because they refused to change out their outfit.
We really just dove back into the pirate theme.
That is a idiot.
The corporate bar and grill was obviously not going to work. We changed it back.
It says that what they did is they uploaded a video called Pirates Revenge showing the corporate sign created by Taffer's team he shot at and burned. The video was heavily disliked by YouTube visitors and only received a 4% positive rating. Taffer said of their decision, if you had a pirate concept that had failed for 5 years straight and a new concept, why would you go back to the concept that failed for 5 years and not try the new thing? It defies logic that someone would go back to a failed, that's just like in parentheses, concept just because they don't like their new name.
In all my years as a bar consultant, I've come up against people who challenge my ideas, but Pirates Tavern is the only one who outright threw them in the trash.
Yeah, and it's like, there's literally like a more toned down, like pirate-y themed bar in Liverpool. It's quite successful, at least, it was a couple of years ago. I don't know about COVID and all that, but it was, that classy cocktail bar with like pirate elements in the theme, and like did like nice rum cocktails, and no one was dressed like pirates. They didn't spell pirates with a Z.
They went all in, but then they did the thing like John Taffer. They've been open for 5 years. Everyone loves the pirate theme, but not enough. You're not making a profit. It says here that the owner blamed the negative publicity from the show on the reason that they failed, even though they've been failing for 5 years, and they sought a second rescue from Taffer in 2015.
No.
Within a week of the revisited episode's premiere, however, Pirates closed its doors for good. They got two! They got two!
Oh, the fact that he
went back. They got him back.
After the biggest, fuck you ever. And then still, oh, no.
It says here, LA Brew Co. failure. Taffer's most expensive rescue also resulted in his biggest failure. His visit to the Los Angeles Brewing Company during Season 4 saw him put $1 million into updating the bar.
Is anybody even checking on this?
mean, you gotta validate this stuff. There's obvious signs of neglect in the system. There's mold growing down there. Richard needs to learn more about his draft system in order to serve the best beer he possibly can.
Which include the installation of a self-service beer tap and an in-house brewing system, which was intended to allow the bar, which was rebranded as LA Brew Co., to start serving its own beer. 4 months after the rescue, the brewing system was discovered to have never been used, the self-serve tap was disconnected, and the owner had reverted all changes to the bar taps and menu. In addition, LA Brew Co.'s liquor license had been suspended and the business was put up for sale. Like, they were a bar without a liquor license.
And then, like, the 2 things that they implemented to, like, sell it as this new thing, they're like, nah, fuck that.
Because that's one of the things you do, you always try to come up with, like, a gimmick that works for them. I think the Pirates one was really, really mean because, like, you know, they could have toned it down, but John Taffer clearly just hated the pirate shit. And it's like, no.
That's the thing that, like, for that one specifically feels off because, like, clearly these people really give a shit about, like, the fun pirate theme, and then he's like, no, let's 100% just fuck you, it's corporate. Like, that's like the opposite to pirates.
Yeah, like, he could have, like, as you said, made it's like a nice rum bar or something with cocktails with, like, you know, a bit of a pirate theme, but like, he clearly did not like that concept. And then the other one, as an example, like, the antithesis that I think was really good, is there was like a Hooters style bar. Like, you know, and it had all the women in like really like low cut tops and stuff, and it's like really like cringy in that way.
Yeah.
He rebranded that as a pool bar with like pool tables, but he called it Racks.
Right.
Which I thought was like really clever. With like, you know, it's racks and it has like the symbol is like, you know, it's the racked pool balls, like the 2 big pool balls there. So it's like, you know, it's cheeky, but it's not like cringy.
It's still in the same like kind of ballpark as Hooters is, and those bars.
It's closer
like...
to Hooters than it is a strip club. Which is what it was more akin to, like when he first went in. It's like, you know, strip clubs are a fine thing, but you're not going to get the average man, woman off the streets come into a bar that's like a strip club.
Yeah, like it's a very specific audience.
But I just thought that was like a really, like, you know, clever rebrand, like Racks. It's like, yeah, that's, you know, that's clever. That's an interesting, and you know, that's something else they always do as well. Like the name they come up with clearly thought by actual marketing people, and like rebrands and stuff like that have a lot of thought going into, and that is explained.
Yeah,
and just that's just Bar Rescue, and like I adore that show. If anyone out there is a fan of any like trash ass TV in that vein, let me know. Chances are I've already seen it. If you've got one in the comments that I've not seen and I can access, I'll go watch that shit. I love trash TV.
I can't remember the name of it, but I never watched it, but I heard a few people talk about it on a podcast of like, there's one, I think it's like Below Deck or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one that's on the cruise ship. Yeah,
on the cruise ship. Like, I was like, I remember hearing about that, and it's like, I didn't watch it, but I was wondering.
Yeah, I watched that one. I've also watched Barbecue Pitmasters.
Oh,
I watched them. That's the thing, I've watched them all.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. This is why I don't watch like DC movies. I'm too busy watching this shit. Cheers, everybody. So, far away, Lucas. What's your favourite cryptid?
I don't remember what cryptids are.
It's a creature that may or may not exist, like a Bigfoot.
Oh.
Yeah!
Oh, I'm going to say Nessie.
I do like Nessie. Protected in Scotland as well. You know, it's on the endangered species list. Loch Ness Monster, right there, alongside the national animal of Scotland itself, the unicorn. But yes, so welcome to another episode of Wiki Weekend. I'm your host, Karl Smallwood, joined off camera and off screen by my co-host, Lucas Holland.
I mean, I was definitely waving, but you can't see that because I'm off screen.
They can hear you talking. And today we're talking specifically about Bigfoot. So you can find a link to the wiki we're referring to below. But before we get into that, Lucas, what do you know about some Bigfoot?
Oh, I know he's big and he's got feet.
That's the one, yes. So the reason we're talking about this is because I've been asked to talk about this by you and by Brad over on Fact Theme, because I don't know why it resonated with everyone so much, but I just, as I often do, was watching some bad TV, because I love me some bad TV. I adore crappy reality TV shows about a very specific or niche subject, which is how I ended up watching a show called $10 Million Bigfoot Hunt.
And I saw you tweet about this, and I think my favourite part was the guy that insisted that he'd killed Bigfoot, but was still on the hunt for Bigfoot.
Yeah, so, and during the course, and the basic premise of that show is that And it's genius in a way of, okay, so we're going to offer a literal $10 million prize to someone who can prove that Bigfoot exists. And to do that, they need video evidence and DNA evidence that is unequivocal and, like, you know, verified by an independent scientist. So you're never going to have to pay that out.
Now, 9 determined teams are making their way to a remote base camp. If any of them can provide definitive visual and DNA proof of Bigfoot's existence or capture one alive, they will take home one of the biggest prizes in television history.
It's genius, but you'll get the weirdos will sign up thinking they're going to win $10 million, but you're never going to have to fucking pay them. It's genius.
Bigfoot doesn't exist.
Exactly. And like, and someone out there, well, he does exist. And it's like, you know what? You go to season 2. Why not? You might win $10 million. And the range of people on there is quite broad, considering, like, you know, they're all people who think Bigfoot's running around a forest somewhere. But one guy really stood out and is like, well, what makes you think you're an expert on finding Bigfoot? And he goes, well, I killed him. I was like, what? I killed a Bigfoot.
I've shot and killed 2 of them.
And I was like, just show what you see that in the first episode, and I'm like, I'm hooked. This is it. When you say, like, can't watch One Piece, I can't. I'm too busy watching $10 million Bigfoot.
The thing is, that just means he murdered a dude.
Well, that's the thing, yes. They say, like, they have, like, a scientist in who clearly doesn't want to be there, but he's there for the paycheck, and, like, he just reams everyone out over their evidence. Because people are like, I found a stick.
We found a very interesting stick marker, if you will, that was drove in the ground really hard. Look here. What do we have here?
That's tubular poop.
Right.
And it's like, well, Bigfoot could have messed with that stick, and it's like, that's not proof that Bigfoot exists. It's a stick. But because obviously he's arguing with people who think Bigfoot's real, they go, well, he just doesn't see what I see. He's like, he's a fucking scientist. Anyway, he asked the dude, he's like, what makes you think you know, why I killed Bigfoot? Like, what? Explain? Because, well, I saw a Bigfoot and I shot it, and then I buried it in the woods. And he goes, okay, and did you bring any evidence back? Did you bring the body back? And I was like, no, I brought some fur though. You did? Yeah, I got it, like, you know, independently corroborated by a scientist. He's like, okay, and what did they say? Well, the fur came from a feral man. And the scientist on the show goes, there's no such thing as feral man. You can't tell if a man is feral from the hair that they're dropped. This sounds like you shot someone and buried them in the woods, and then they never bring it up again.
Justin is a little crazy. He needs to be on meds. I'm a little nervous about being outside with him on a hunt tomorrow.
And they let that guy be on the show, walk around the woods with a shotgun.
I'm just gone.
But here's the thing, though, right? Because I got so compelled, I went and looked up another documentary about Bigfoot where they interview him. And they ask him straight up, because the guy doing the interview is like a vet and like a researcher. And he's like, so you shot Bigfoot? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, why would you do that? And he's like, well, you saw a creature that you couldn't explain, so you shot it? And the guy just goes, well, it was a monster.
When we see this thing standing just like I'm standing,
like
and we see us raise its hands.
But you shot?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there was a monster in the woods.
And you can't argue with that, but then he says, what happened? Like, well, I've noticed a little one, and I shot that. So he shot a baby Bigfoot. And he says, I held it in my hands, and I looked down, and I saw it had human eyes, and it looked at me, and I felt so guilty. That's why I buried it.
The man just killed, like, a parent and a child.
Well, that's the thing. And then in that documentary, he has some hair that he found, that he gives them, and they say it's from a bear. And they ask him straight up, like, are you making this up? And, like, this is why I think he's such a weirdly compelling dude. Is like, why would I make it up? What, like, you know, every day people make fun of me for being the guy who shot Bigfoot. Would I really make that up for a couple $100 to appear on a documentary like this every couple of years? And you can tell that in his head, he shot Bigfoot.
Maybe you'd call it bloodlust or something. Where I looked at this thing, I knew I was going to shoot it.
And no amount of evidence will tell him that he's not shot Bigfoot. In his head, he murdered baby Bigfoot and has to live with the guilt of doing that for the rest of his life, even though Bigfoot's not real.
But someone probably went out wearing some kind of pelt and hunting. and got shot by him.
We don't know, but, you know, we're referring to the Wiki article on Bigfoot, for anyone who doesn't, if you live under a rock or are Bigfoot, like very low focus Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as a Sasquatch, is a large and hairy, human-like mythical creature purported to inhabit forests in North America, particularly the Pacific Northwest. Enthusiasts of the subject have offered various forms of dubious evidence to prove Bigfoot's existence, including anecdotal claims of sightings, as well as alleged photographs, video and audio recordings, hair samples, and casts of large footprints. Most of this evidence has been identified as hoaxes or misidentification in regards to the former, sometimes deliberate, sometimes accidental. It's like sometimes people just find fur, like, or like, I think most famously it's people take pictures of bears, which very occasionally will walk on 2 feet. And from a distance, through some foliage, through, like, you know, a camera that's not quite zoomed in, that can look like a man walking through the woods, like a large, 7 foot tall, hairy man.
Check out these bears. They jump on their 2 back paws, surprising the tourists.
I have to just bring up as well that recent thing that went viral of, like, the zoo in China had to declare that their sun bear wasn't a man in an outfit.
Yeah, because sun bears have like weirdly lanky proportions compared to other bears. And it does look like a man in a costume, but it's not. The majority of scientists do not find any of the remaining evidence compelling, and instead generally consider it to be the result of a combination of folklore, misidentification, and hoax, rather than a living, breathing creature. Folklorists, however, trace the phenomenon of Bigfoot to a combination of factors and sources, including indigenous cultures, the European wild man figure, folk tales, wishful thinking, and a cultural increase in environmental concerns. And overall, societal awareness of subjects have been cited as additional factors.
He lives here with you?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to mention possibly the most famous, the footage of Bigfoot. You've probably seen it. You might not know the name of it, but it is the Patterson-Gimlin film. And that's the footage that everyone knows of, like, you know, the Bigfoot walking through the woods, like, yeah, like this. And you've probably seen it. I'll put the clip in of it now. And what was really funny is when I'm watching that show, and they talk about that, they go to the area where that was filmed. I'm like, well, this is like ground zero for Bigfoot. It's the most compelling evidence ever. They've never conclusively proven that it was a hoax. And I went, hang on a second. Yes, they have. So I remember I Googled that and I checked and I read up on it. And like, the Patterson-Gimlin film was filmed by a guy, and 1 week before he filmed it and said, I saw Bigfoot, he was approached by a dude who was trying to make a Bigfoot movie. And had got funding for a Bigfoot movie. And he just so happens to be the guy who helped him publish his findings. And it's like, that seems weirdly coincidental, right? And that's the thing, and no one ever bothered to like bring that up or look into it. That the guy who said I saw Bigfoot is being like financially backed by a guy who tried to make a Bigfoot movie and owned a Bigfoot costume.
Millions of people have been fooled all these years. If they would have paid me the $1,000 like they promised, I would have kept my mouth shut.
Like, he literally owned a Bigfoot costume that he bought.
But there must be no correlation.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why it's so baffling, because I'm watching this show, like, they're talking about it as if, like, this stuff has been publicly known for decades. Owned a Bigfoot costume and was seeking funding for a Bigfoot movie.
You know what would really help with that people wanting to see a Bigfoot movie is speculation of Bigfoot.
And the thing, the fact that no one ever brings that up, and admittedly, it's very fun to think that there might be a giant ape man wandering around the woods. And I know someone's going to say, because there are people, like there's true believers out there, who are like, well, you know, there's all sorts of shit out there that we don't know exists. And most, you go into the deepest part of the ocean, you'll see fish we've never seen before. And that's because we don't go into that part of the ocean. And occasionally they'll go into like forests and rainforests and like jungles and savannas and find things they've never seen before. And usually those things are like, you know, small lizards, frogs, insects, not giant fucking like 7 foot tall Harry and the Henderson looking creatures
that just wander around casually. Yeah, it's like all those videos that you see is like they're not trying to hide, they're just strolling through the woods.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, you know, they find like, you know, new primate species all the time. Usually it's like monkeys this big that live in trees, and that's why no fucker spots them. They don't walk around on the ground.
Maybe that's a secret. Maybe we haven't found Bigfoot because we haven't gotten high enough.
He's just in the trees, yeah. So, description.
In the trees.
Bigfoot is often described as a large, muscular, and bipedal ape or human-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Anecdotal descriptions estimate a height of roughly 6 to 9 feet, with some descriptions having the creature standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet tall. And it's like, that's the thing, a 15-foot tall fucking ape wandering around. That's King Kong.
Like, someone's going to have noticed that and got actual footage of it.
Yeah, some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regards to the physical features of the face. In 1971, multiple people in the Dalles, Oregon, filed a report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature through the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because, and I quote, "it looks more human than animal."
Where I looked at this thing, I knew I was going to shoot it.
It's a lot of this stuff is like, you know, is it Occam's razor, where it's like the simplest answer is normally the actual solution, and it's like it was probably either a bear or a dude wearing some camo or some shit just walking through the woods.
It reminds me a little bit of like a great Frankie Boyle bit on it, where like, you know, UFOs. It's like, we got a declassified UFO report, and there's a guy in Wales who said that he come out of the pub one evening. It's like, already I'm starting to believe this, and he saw white things in the distance that he couldn't explain. It's like, maybe that was just a sheep in the distance. Just that was quite far away. And I'm not saying like, you know, there's shit out there we don't understand, but it's like,
oh yeah,
whenever you look into this stuff, it's always like so fucking, like, it's so flimsy. Like I said, like the Patterson Gimlin film, one of the guys involved with it owned a Bigfoot suit and was trying to secure funding for a Bigfoot movie, and then just so happened to catch footage of a real Bigfoot.
Yeah.
The next day.
I think one of my favourite ones, if people aren't aware, is like the reported images of the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh yeah, that's another famous one. Yeah, like the very iconic image of the Loch Ness Monster in the water, which was...
It's very similar to, apparently, the shape of a whale's penis.
Oh no, well, yeah, there's that. There's also another one, which is, Joe, that shot, the one that everyone says is of Nessie.
Yeah.
The guy on his deathbed said it was fake, and I did it on purpose to piss off the Daily Mail, because they said like I wasn't like a real photographer or something like that. So he faked it with like a toy submarine.
Wetherell concocts a scheme to save his reputation.
Duke goes to his stepson, who happens to be a model maker, and asks him to fabricate something that looks like the eyewitness descriptions of the beast. So using plastic, wood, and a toy submarine, they create this model of a creature with a long neck and a small head.
And like, you know, if you look at the actual photo, like people who actually know what they're talking about, and that's like, well, it's a monster, have looked at, well, the waves are clearly, that if that was like, you know, if the creature is purported to be as big as the photograph suggests, these waves will be like a foot high. You don't get waves like that on Loch Ness. It's clearly like much smaller than expected, and these like the tiny ripples that you'd get from a toy submarine under the water.
But when some experts go back and examine the original uncropped photo, they see something entirely different.
Seeing the uncropped version changes their perspective completely. They believe that whatever this beast is in the water isn't anywhere near 20 feet long.
But then, like, even the guy going on camera and admitting it's all fake, people are like, whoa, how? Was that, I faked it with a submarine. It's like, I've talked before about crop circles. The crop circles phenomenon was started by a guy as a joke, where him and his mate got pissed one evening and just looked at each other and went, should we have a bit of a laugh? It's like, yeah, what are you thinking, mate? And they said, let's just go dick around in that field and draw a big circle and see if it weirds people out.
Such an elaborate prank.
And no, what they did is they went and they got a plank of wood and just gently flattened all the wheat in a field. And then they were howling with laughter when it got like reported as aliens. And they kept up the gimmick for like 20 years.
Well, that's what I mean by elaborate prank. Is that not the first one necessarily, but the fact that they kept it up for so long.
And what makes it really funny is the guy only admitted to it because his wife thought he was cheating on her. Because like, where are you going? Like you're away all the time. Because he started to get really into doing it with his mate. Like they got really, really into it, and that they would play up to the basically they tried to keep fucking with the conspiracy theorists and scientists who was trying to explain it. It's like they thought it was funny that people thought it was aliens, but also they thought it was funny to fuck with scientists who were trying to explain it. Because scientists were like, well, it's clearly a natural phenomenon. Like it could be like, like a tornado. We do sometimes get those in the UK, like, quite light ones. They could create circles, and that's what he pointed to, like it's perfectly circular. That would like indicate wind going in a circle. So the next day he went and made a square one. Just to piss him off. But at the same time, when people were saying it was aliens, he'd also go and fuck with them by making ones that look like... So it's clearly an alien landing thing, so he'd make one that was like a diamond or something. And his wife thought he was cheating on her until he showed her, like, no, I've been making crop circles. Like, no, you haven't. There's hundreds of them, and they're all over the world, because other pranksters started copying him. And then he was like, no, honestly, and he showed it because he kept like logs of every one he'd made, and like as on like blueprints and stuff, and he showed her the equipment. She's like, no, it's not. Like, you're making this up. And he's like, no, look, you design a crop circle and I'll make it. And she designed one and he made it in the field the next day. And people thought that was fucking aliens. And the amazing thing about that, which shows how much people just refuse not to believe stuff when they're like that far in, is when he admitted that he'd done it. UFOologists were like, well, you can't, because it can't be made by human hands. Well, I made it with a plank of wood, and I shit you not, a baseball cap with a hole drilled through it, with a piece of wire in front of his eye to line it up.
We wanted to make the UFO societies think that a UFO had landed, you see. And after a few years, they didn't know whether to believe it or not.
It's an obvious, it's absolutely obvious. This here, you see, it's not consistent at all with a genuine phenomenon.
I just don't believe them, no.
Absolutely beautiful.
There's no traffic, there's no human beings, there's no nothing. There's a full moon in the sky, lovely starry night.
With your cheese rolls and your beer, what's better?
And then he stand on the piece of wood, flatten the wheat, take one more step. And when he explained this to ufologists of like, I can make it with a piece of wood and a baseball cap, they said to him, well, how do you explain all the other ones that appeared? And he was like, so you telling me that the ones that I made, which were the first ones seen, weren't aliens, but then the aliens got involved? And that's like an actual argument from ufologists of maybe the aliens, you might have made all these ones, but the other ones might be aliens.
Found it fucking hilarious, and they were like, let's get in on it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's the thing, because the first one seemed like the guy who started it admitted it was fake, and then other people clearly like thought it was funny as well and started doing it. But it's like the actual argument from ufologists is that maybe the aliens thought it was a good idea and got involved as well. And that seems just so fucking funny.
Well, it may be that the hoax is not that they made the corn circles, but in fact they didn't make the corn circles. We just don't know at this stage whether they can make circles in the way they say or not.
But in their defense, like, that would be the perfect defense for aliens, is like, what, do you really think that we copied this guy?
And that's the thing. And when he come out, and he had like a blueprint for every single one, and photographs of him doing it, because him and his mates took photographs, it was funny. And he could like, had unequivocal evidence that it was fake. People are like, no, you're lying.
Well, how on earth intelligent people of that sort, professors, etc., can just walk into a cornfield and see some flattened corn and make all this out of it over the years? I mean, we're as astounded as anyone else.
We used to laugh, we used to talk to each other when we're doing this, but all it is flattened corn. If you walk in, you've flattened it.
Or like there's the dude who like he made giant penguin feet out of wood, and then just would walk around his beach near his house just every couple of weekends. And people thought it was a giant penguin. And again, when he admitted it, and it's just a picture of one of these giant, big, inflatable feet. And I was like, well, no, he's making it up. He's trying to hide something. He's been paid off. And it's like, no, I just thought it was funny.
There's always got to be a greater conspiracy, Karl.
Yeah, and well, speaking of conspiracy theories, like proposed explanations. Various explanations have been suggested for sightings and to offer conjecture on what existing animal has been misidentified in supposed sightings of Bigfoot. Scientists typically attribute sightings to hoaxes or misidentifications of known animals and their tracks, in particular black bears. You might be thinking, well, a black bear? I'd know a bear if I saw a bear. So again, they can stand up and from a distance, through the foliage, like, maybe it's like a warm day with a little bit of that haze that comes up. You could think that's a person. Also, like their tracks. You might think, well, I know a bear tracks. It's like the big bear paws with its little beans. In soft mud where sliding can occur, or, if it's like tracked over by other animals or, you know, just any sort of weather phenomenon, you could mistake that for 5 little toes.
Simple differences between grizzly bear tracks and black bear tracks. One of them is the curvature of the toes. If we were to take a straight edge,
and it says that, you know, scientists theorize that mistaken identification of American black bears as Bigfoot are a likely explanation for most reported sightings, particularly when observers view the subject from far away, are in dense foliage, or there are poor lighting conditions. Additionally, black bears have been observed and recorded walking upright, usually as a result of injury. While upright, adult black bears can stand roughly 5 to 7 feet tall, whereas a grizzly can stand 8 to 9 feet tall, which are both within the range of anecdotal Bigfoot reports. More people report seeing Bigfoot in areas with documented black bear populations. They concluded that if Bigfoot is there, it's probably a bear.
I like that as a little slogan.
And some people have said escaped apes. Some propose that sightings of Bigfoot may be simply people observing and misidentifying known great apes such as chimpanzees, gorillas and orangutans that have escaped from captivity from zoos, circuses and exotic pets belonging to private owners. This explanation is often proposed in relation to the skunk ape, as some scientists argue the humid subtropical climate of the southeastern United States could potentially support a population of escaped apes. And then the one we know is humans. Humans have been mistaken for Bigfoot, with some incidents leading to injury. For example, in 2013, a 21-year-old man in Oklahoma was arrested after he told law enforcement he shot his friend in the back while their group was allegedly hunting for Bigfoot. And that's why it's just like a great idea that you got people in the woods shooting at human-shaped targets. That's never going to end poorly, is it? In 2017, a shamanist wearing clothing made from animal furs was vacationing in North Carolina forest when reports of an alleged Bigfoot sighting flooded in. The Greenville Police Department issued a public notice not to shoot Bigfoot for fear of mistakenly injuring or killing someone in a fursuit. So furries in the woods taking, like, you know, photos. We've mentioned this in a previous episode of Fact.
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's literally like used as a hunting technique to wear furs.
Yeah, or like, you know, something that, you know, just blurs your outline, like a ghillie suit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, from a distance with shadow, you could look like, you know, a creature with black fur. Likewise, you had when they were filming Star Wars, like the second one, like in the forest, the guy playing Chewbacca had to wear a high-vis vest and have people around him, so hunters didn't think he was a bear or Bigfoot. It says that, you know, in 2018, a person was shot at multiple times by a hunter near Montana who claimed he mistook him for a Bigfoot. Multiple times as well. Which means, like, one...
confirm that kill, Karl.
One, that's fucked up. Two, that guy's a shit shot and should not be in the forest hunting anything. Because he can't hit a fucking standing still target. And it says that, you know, additionally, some sightings have been attributed to feral humans or hermits living in the wilderness. Like one story, the Wild Man of Navidad, tells of a wild man ape who roamed the wilderness of eastern Texas in the mid-19th century, stealing food and goods from residents. A search party allegedly captured an escaped African slave. There's just a guy who fucking like didn't speak no English, just ran into the woods and hid there. It says that another explanation could be pareidolia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is the name for the phenomenon of humans seeing human faces and human-like figures where they don't exist, because just naturally our brains are trained to recognize human faces and the human silhouette, just as a way of helping us identify other humans at a distance. And that's why people often see like faces in like toast, or you look into the night sky and you look at the stars and go, well, that's clearly like, you know, Orion. It's like it's just some stars, but your mind's trained to see the human form.
Or like people will look at a car and be like, oh, look, it's smiling at me. It's got like two eyes and a smile. It's like, no, it's a car.
Your brain is just predisposed to just recognize the human form and a face. Just that's how you communicate and identify with other humans. And then finally we have hoaxes. Both Bigfoot believers and non-believers agree that many reported sightings are likely hoaxes. Author Jerome Clark argues that the Jacko affair was a hoax involving a 1884 newspaper report of an ape-like creature captured in British Columbia. He cites research by John Green, who found that several contemporaneous British Columbia newspapers regarded the alleged capture as highly dubious. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, the guy who's like, he had a Bigfoot suit. That was another dude as well who was like, I caught Bigfoot. I've got it in a box. Do you want to come see my dead Bigfoot? And it was an ape suit, like a secondhand ape suit from like, I think Planet of the Apes or like, you know, similar knockoff movie that he just shoved a possum guts into. And when they said, how did you expect us to believe this when we DNA tested it? Just on what's DNA? Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously there are going to be people out there like thinking it, you know, either for whatever reason making up like these fraud cases, but how dumb do you have to be to hear that people are shooting Bigfoot dead on sight and then be like, you know, it'll be really funny if I get myself a Bigfoot outfit and pretend to be one?
Yeah. Thing is, though, it would be kind of funny.
It would be kind of funny if it weren't for the threat of just a shotgun to the back of the head.
Mate, it would be so good for the bands. And you know what? Well, speaking of, let's imagine now that Bigfoot is real. What does Bigfoot actually act like? You know, because there's plenty of people out there who claim you can get a degree on Bigfoot if you want. Like, you can get a degree on, like, you know, cryptozoology, which is, you know, animals that are purported to exist, but there's no proof that they do exist. So like the Loch Ness Monster, Sasquatches, Bigfoot, all sorts of other stuff. So alleged behaviour. Some Bigfoot researchers allege that Bigfoot throws rocks as territorial displays and for communication. Other alleged behaviours include audible blows struck against trees or wood knocking. Further alleged to be communicative, and they have that in that documentary I mentioned earlier. The guy's like, I can speak Bigfoot. And the guy's like, you can speak, and he goes to a tree and he whacks it with a stick. And he said, listen. And then you hear a return knock. And what's Bigfoot in it? And the research looks at him, how do you know that's not just someone else with a stick hitting a tree? He's like, well, no one else knows that we do this. And he says that knowing that they give tours and show people how to do it. And he's like, how do you know it's just not other people? And it's like that the $10 million Bigfoot hunt. They put 10 people looking for Bigfoot into the same forest. And there's one guy who's just like screaming the Bigfoot noise as loud as he can. And then they'll smash cut to someone else like, do you hear that? That's a Bigfoot. It's just one of the other 10 people who's there. Like, my favourite guy is the guy who brings, I shit you not, Lucas, he takes a lightsaber into the woods and swings it around. I'm like, well, Bigfoot's going to be attracted to this. Bigfoot likes Star Wars, then.
So, the idea with the lightsabers is to generate curiosity if there's a Sasquatch in the area.
Yeah, because there was a Bigfoot in Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
It's Chewie, so he'll get on board.
Jeremiah Byron, the host of the Bigfoot Society podcast, believes that Bigfoots are omnivores, stating they eat both plants and meat. I've seen accounts that they eat everything from berries, leaves, nuts to fruit, salmon, rabbit, elk, and bear. Ronnie LeBlanc, the host of Expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel, indicated that he's heard anecdotal reports of Bigfoot hunting and consuming deer. And the idea that even like, you know, a humanoid as big as Bigfoot could catch a deer on foot in the woods is laughable. And that's how you know it's like complete fucking bullshit. Like, I believe that there's a giant 7-foot tall ape creature out there that can hunt and track down a deer on foot. And rip it apart with its bare hands. It's like, no. Like, people struggle to catch one of those things with a fucking rifle.
Yeah.
And then we have like the evidence claims, which are just like, you know, a body taken in the year 2000 from the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, dubbed a skookum cast, believed by some to be made as a Bigfoot, that sat down in the mud to eat fruit left out by research during the filming of an episode of the Animal X television show. Skeptics believe the cast to be made by a known animal such as an elk. And it's like they find footprints all the time. And it's like, it's probably just a big dude.
Yeah.
And you know what? We could no doubt do this all day, but we're running short on recording time now, Lucas. So just anything to add before we head off? Besides, like,
Bigfoot is real, and I will hear no.
You know what? No,
slander.
Wiki Weekends is over because Lucas is like he's been biting his tongue of like, no, Karl, Bigfoot is real. Maybe we might be able to talk about my favourite Bigfoot show, where it's like they hunt Bigfoot and he's just a guy in the woods who just goes, ah, it's like, that's Bigfoot.
We're gonna see Lyle do a squatch call.
I like that.
So how do you argue with that evidence? I'm just like, that's a Bigfoot.
He's real.
So far away, Lucas, we're here once again for another episode of Wiki Weekends. And I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked many people who arrive in my home. Would you like to get bonely?
Are we talking about skeletons today?
No, we're talking about bones.
Oh, God.
People can't see you. I've got you on webcam. And Luke's face when I said bones, he just went, oh, God. Oh. So far away, Lucas. Just let the audience at home who didn't see your visual reaction but heard your just like groan of just utter resignation of like, I guess this is my next half an hour. Why you had that reaction to me saying we're talking about bones? As I take a sip of this comically large bottle of water.
Straight from Yorkshire.
Bottle of water.
Straight from Yorkshire, right to Karl's mouth. But yeah, I'm presuming we're talking about Bones, the TV show.
Oh yes, we are, my friend.
That just every now and then, Karl, while we're, just having casual conversations, will just be like, I really fucking love Bones, and just like deep dive into Bones for a little segment of our lives.
Lucas, it's because I love Bones. And for people out there maybe don't know what Bones is, first of all, I think you're lying because it's one of the most popular shows on the air. But also...
Is it?
It's just fun.
Hey, do you know what it's called when you drink a shot off of a stranger's body?
I don't know, body shots.
How did you know that?
Oh, lucky guess.
Like, I assumed that Bones was one of those TV shows where the ratings were not through the roof, but it, managed to cling on for a surprising amount of seasons.
Mate, it's not that. It clung on for more seasons than it needed to, but it had a lot of seasons, and it had a lot of, it was very, very popular, as we can discuss. As we go through the wiki, which as always can be a link to which can be found below. And we're referring today to the bonesfandom.com wiki.
Of course we are.
Which is basically just the Wikipedia page for Bones, copy pasted, but I had to use the Bones wiki for talking about Bones.
And I love the fact that Wiki Weekends exists to the extent where there's so many fan wikis out there that you never expected. And obviously, it's a popular TV show that ran for a long time and it legitimately deserves its own wiki. But just the idea of, the Bones fan page Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's got a very dedicated fan base, like it did when it was airing, and there's a smaller, I'd argue more dedicated fan base that exists to this day, which includes myself, because I'm a fan of the police procedural. Initially just as a passive, superficial observer, but in recent years with stuff like the Black Lives Matter protests and becoming aware of the concept of propaganda.
But what is propaganda, and why does it matter? Simply put, it's the conventional portrayal of the police in media. How those portrayals represent the worldviews of the people who created them, and what message is finally being handed off to us as a society.
Then as I got older, I started studying media. So, people don't know my degree is in media theory and film and visual effects and production and stuff. Just watching the show through the modern lens, by which I mean the lens through which we're aware of the concept of propaganda, which is media that portrays the police in an, I'm going to say, unfair light, by which I mean they portray the police way too fairly.
There are a lot of shows that do that, and I think one of the most interesting use cases of that exact scenario is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because the show was still going on and had to change itself from portraying these cops pushing the boundaries of the law as a good thing.
What evidence did you have when you arrested this guy?
Some pretty ironclad stuff.
Destin, it's been a while. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
Well. If it isn't Joe Peralta.
That's it, you're under arrest.
Case closed.
To addressing head on, oh shit, maybe we are not always the good guys, and I think they do it quite clunkily, and
I'll get my officers to revise their statements.
And they'll be punished?
No, there's no way I can suspend them.
Suspend? I thought you would fire them.
Oh, you're being serious now.
That's not the show they were initially writing and stuff, but
very clumsily handled, yes.
It's at least very interesting to watch the stark difference between the before and after.
It is, yes. And if anyone who's currently sat there thinking, well, why is this a big deal? Why does it matter that TV shows and media portray the police in an accurate way? It's because media can and does influence the way people perceive some things, whether it be relationships or the police. And when you have TV shows like Bones, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, although they're ostensibly for entertainment, they are set, within a reality that represents, is representative of our own. And when you see things like the police in, I'm going to say virtually every police procedural, questioning people without a witness, for example, that sets in your mind that's an okay thing to happen.
When you got this alleged confession from these two young men, did they have a lawyer present? No, because I'm their lawyer. Did you notify their parents? No, because we're their parents. So, officer, don't tell us to wait, and don't tell us to sit down. Just open that damn cell and let those two boys out of there, or I'm going to tie this place up with so much litigation that your grandchildren are going to need lawyers.
Detaining people without reason, detaining them beyond the time that they're allowed to, because, I've got a hunch. And it's you're not allowed to do that.
Think about folks at home, how many police procedurals you've seen where someone asking for a lawyer, which is their constitutional right, because most of these shows are set in America, to be represented by a legal representative while being questioned by the police, whether they're guilty or not. How often police shows portray that as them being guilty.
Yeah, and think about how many times as well the response to that is them slamming a file on the table and being like, you'll get whatever I tell you get, or something along those lines. Why do you need a lawyer? You're clearly guilty and I know it, just fess up.
Yeah, and there's there's some shows where they play into the cops are bad guys. You have The Shield is a show where they do that, but they still get results, which is its own problematic thing to do. And again, for the people out there why is this important? How often do you in your day-to-day life interact with the police? Chances are your view of what the police are is almost entirely informed by the media you consume. And it is only natural to assume that media has some basis in reality. And for the most part, it's really not. And that's why watching Bones as a TV show for me is really interesting. One, because the show is it's so cartoonishly over the top sometimes, but also through that modern lens of man, some of the shit they're trying to get away with in this is kind of bad. And it's amazing that they got away with it.
When I asked him to let me send the skull to the Jeffersonian, he told me I am not a cop and that I don't have any jurisdiction.
Which is true. Okay, what do you want me to do?
I want you to get federal on his ass.
So it's that thing of I watch it in two ways. I'm in two minds when I'm watching it. This is an entertaining show about a lady who likes bones, solving crimes, but also that's illegal. That's super illegal. You're not allowed to do that.
And the amount of times where you'll have one character point out that something's illegal, and then the cop is no, just brushes it off.
Yeah, so before we get into all that, let's just set the scene. People maybe don't know what Bones is. So Bones is an American drama television series. I like it, it's is. On the Bones fandom, it is.
It still exists.
It's not was, it is. It still exists. For me, it's still going. American drama that premiered on Fox. Oh, rip in peace. And in 2005, the show is a forensic and police procedural in which each episode focuses on an FBI case file concerning the mystery behind human remains brought by FBI agent Seeley Booth to a forensic anthropology team of Dr. Temperance Bones Brennan and played by, here's a name you might recognise, Lucas, Emily Deschanel.
Oh, Zooey Deschanel's sister.
Yeah, and here's the thing that's really funny, because I watched the show and I was like, this actress looks familiar. And it turns out I'd seen her in an indie movie. But I was then I saw Emily Deschanel and went, hang on a second. Is that Zooey Deschanel's sister? And it turns out, yes it is, and Zooey Deschanel is on an episode of Bones.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
As the character Temperance Brennan's a half-sister from a marriage or something.
Oh, who is this, your sister?
No, my second cousin.
Margaret.
There's no resemblance.
What do you mean? You're both very beautiful.
That also reminds me that, I'm way more familiar with Zoe. I'm a fan of New Girl, and I watch Elf a shit ton as well. So that's two things I know her very well from. But like, yeah, she's in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine universe. The new girl Zoe character
gets into the car, isn't it?
Yeah, like they have a crossover episode because just, you know, the cross promotion because they own both TV shows. But like, yeah, I forgot that new girl Jess exists in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, it's where she goes like, I'm a cop, give me your car. Which again, super fucking elite. Something police can't do that. So you ask people like, can police commandeer a vehicle? They're like, well, of course they can. Yeah, I've seen it in movies. Like, they're not allowed to do that. The police can't do that. It is not a thing where the police can just commandeer a vehicle.
NYPD, I need to commandeer this vehicle.
It's a crossover. It's a crossover SUV, and you can't have it.
I'm a cop. Can you please get out of the car?
No, this is Schmidt's mom's car, and I'm more scared of her than I am of some two-bit thug.
I'm not a thug. I'm police.
And I think that's why one of my favourite movies, like yourself, is Hot Fuzz, because you just get Nicholas Angel being like, you can't do any of this shit that you're doing.
Yeah. But that movie it's one of the best movies ever made in regards to its portrayal of the police, because it's so realistic. Even though like it's so unrealistic in its action, because it's, you know, a deliberate teardown of the tropes, and then it leans into them as a homage. But when you have like, you ever jump through the air firing two guns? Like, no, that's not what police work is. Or like, why are you wearing your stab vest indoors? It's a requirement. Or where you're having like talking about, you know, the language police are supposed to use of like, oh, it's a traffic accident. And it's like, no, it's a collision. Why? Because accident suggests there was no one at fault.
Yeah.
It's those little things there, and it makes you think, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that is a thing.
One Doris Thatcher.
She's our only policewoman.
She's not a policewoman.
She is. I've seen her, bro.
She's a police officer. Being a woman has nothing to do with it.
Oh, I don't know. It comes in handy every so often. I could have given you the tour. I've been around the station a few times.
And I love, that's a great example of, like, you know, a bit of cop media done well. Because it actively deconstructs a lot of those tropes.
Yeah, and I'm sure like that maybe they didn't get everything 100% accurate, but the fact that they tried more than not.
Yeah, and then so the rest of the cast is rounded out by, we have Celia Booth is played by David Boreanaz, and then we have Michelle Conlin as Angela Montenegro, Erica Milligan as Zach Addy, who doesn't show up after like the 5th season, spoilers, TJ Thine as Jack Hodgins, Tamara Taylor as Camille Soroyan, and then we have John Francis Daly as Lance Sleets. And the one reason I want to mention John Francis Daly is because he's just a guy on the show, and I was like, he keeps getting credited. Do you know when you're watching it, like the opening and you start saying it's like director, writer, and he's like directed by David Boreanaz, like executive producer by Emily Deschanel. He kept showing up as a writer for some episodes, and it turns out, do you want to guess what film he wrote, Lucas?
Well, I was just Googling him quickly because I was like, trying to put a face to a name. And like the only one I just saw then was that he worked on Dungeons and Dragons.
He worked on that, yeah. But do you know what else he wrote? He wrote Homecoming. Like, he wrote Spider-Man Homecoming.
I was going to say, as in Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah, he wrote Spider-Man Homecoming.
Sweets has been very helpful. He vacuumed, did the laundry.
Right, that's great and all, but a man doesn't fold another man's underwear.
Are those Captain America boxers?
Booth has a nostalgic side, too.
Oh.
And like, speaking of Spider-Man, do you know what, like, Emily Deschanel, one of her earliest roles?
Is it, I guess, the Tobey Maguire?
She's in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. She's like the really pissy receptionist who we delivers pizza to.
Pizza time.
You're late.
Right, yeah, the very
in
start.
Spider-Man 2.
Pizza
She's the pissy
time, baby.
receptionist. So I remember watching it going, oh, it's Bones!
I remember watching those movies, and it's like, what's her name? Bryce Dallas Howard was Gwen Stacy, and I was like, oh shit, that's like, you know, not blinking you'll miss it because she's in like a couple of she's in like bad Toby scenes.
Oh, Elizabeth Banks.
And yeah, Elizabeth Banks being Betty Brant, right?
Yeah, and Bones. Bones.
Oh,
but yeah, but so if anyone like, so that's, you know, the cast, but the basic premise of Bones is, and this is why I love it, because one of the reasons I love police procedurals, especially police procedural with a gimmick, is that when you get, like Bones did, into its 12th season, I think it is, like, you really have to start scraping the bottom of that barrel. And in the case of Bones, that barrel has a skeleton in it.
I was going to say, like, is this a barrel of bones?
Yeah, the opening of every episode of the show, with rare exceptions, is someone finds a skeleton. And
I would
like,
assume it has to be that, right?
Yeah, because every episode, someone finds a skeleton. In the first couple of seasons, it's like, okay, builders found a skeleton like in the walls of a house they were demolishing. Someone finds a skeleton in the sewer when they were down. But like by like the 8th and 9th season, they started to like realize that the finding the skeleton is a moment for some levity. So every episode, like past season 5, starts like a 5-minute skit of some completely unrelated thing to the plot, of some like working actors in some random scene where just skeleton happens. Like for example, I was watching some earlier today, I was doing my workout, and it's like a guy's getting baptized. And he's in a river getting baptized, and they push him under the water, comes out a skeleton. Or another one is that these ladies at like a weight loss camp, and she like jumps over a fence and she lands on a skeleton.
Oh god.
And like there's another one, some ladies are going to like, I've heard of this thing, like Japanese people have like fish eat their feet, let's go to this fish farm that I know. And then, there's something biting my foot, it's a skeleton. And it's just always skeleton.
Oh my god. That's what those holes are for.
He was turning his victims into marionettes.
God.
So, like, I know you like don't like me talking about this, Lucas, but are you now a little bit curious to know how they keep introducing surprise skeleton after 250 episodes?
Yeah, so to me, like, I get bored a lot by a lot of these procedurals because, again, they're procedural, right? And like that's why a lot of them disinterest me. And I know all fucking media pretty much just follows formulas because that's what successful things do. They just normally follow formulas. But yes, the idea of watching like hundreds of episodes of CSI like doesn't interest me, but I am interested by how they keep saying skeletons just keep appearing everywhere. It's not that common that people find like entire skeletons.
That's what they realise, and we have that here with the Origins. So Origins, the concept of bones was developed during the pitching season of 2004. In order to make Bones a unique crime drama in the midst of multiple procedural dramas such as CSI and Law & Order, show creator Hart Hanson decided to infuse the show with humour and character development, seeing that as like something that was missing from a lot of other shows. And you see that through the skeletons of like, every episode someone finding the skeleton in a funny way.
I'm gonna need an evidence bag.
Heads up.
I'm gonna need a bigger bag.
And you have like a lot of humour in the show and a lot of like really meta stuff. For example, the character of like Angela Montenegro. Her dad is like the guitarist from ZZ Top.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's just the guitarist from ZZ Top. And he turns up in like, I want to say like 20 episodes.
Fucking hell.
And it's just that thing of like, just a dad turns up and he's just ZZ Top. But he's there. And it's just one of those things like, why? And it's like, why not? Why not have her dad be the guitarist from ZZ Top?
You are starting to tell me a little bit on it. The idea that he just shows up for no reason.
Then like other elements of like, because it's owned by like Fox, they have a lot of crossovers, including one of the weirdest crossovers. You mentioned one earlier, New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can top it, Lucas. This show has a crossover with Family Guy.
Of course it does.
So a live-action TV show has a crossover with Family Guy, and do you know how they get that crossover to work?
Do they have like a live-action representation of Peter Griffin?
No. It is the main character, Seeley Booth, needs brain surgery and is hallucinating, and he hallucinates Stewie Griffin talking to him.
Booth, what is it?
Why doesn't he just clam up and ask for a lawyer? You, sir, are a boob.
Some people, they just feel remorse and they want to set the record straight.
Oh, please. He makes wine a homeless person wouldn't cook with. He never felt remorse about that.
Nobody asked you.
Booth, who are you talking to?
What's going on?
And they even return the favour by having both, Emily Deschanel and David Boreanaz, reprise their role for like a cutaway gag on Family Guy where they're talking about bones.
Yeah, you're right. Look, there's the Aurora Borealis. Yes, and there's the Aurora Borealis.
Hi there. Things are kind of beautiful up north, huh?
So, does the entire scene become animated, including the Bones characters, or is it just there's an animated hallucination of Stu?
Stewie, yeah, he's just Stewie, watching Family Guy at home, and then Stewie Griffin starts talking to him.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
Oh, ooh, look, a pile of porn, delicious. Give me a peek, Booth. Just a little peek at a boobie, please.
And just little things like that of like no other show would have the balls to do something that stupid. Because like, oh no, we want to keep the show grounded and realistic. It's like, well, when you're having skeletons fall out of chocolate bars, there's not really much more you can do to make it stupid.
Hey, Bones, look at this bone.
I know, but did you see this bone?
Where'd you find that bone?
Same place you got your bone. It was just sitting here, next to this bone.
Dr. Brennan, bone call. They said it was important. Something about a bone?
Because as I say, I don't watch many of those police procedurals, but I did watch all of Dexter, God help me. Mm-hmm. And it does get to that point where the first season is like, yeah, we keep looking at all these like different forensic scenes and stuff, and they quickly realise it's going to be hard for like, multiple seasons of this to continue focusing on forensic scenes. I was wondering if Bones went that way of like, oh no, not every episode is finding skeletons anymore because we've reached a point of just no return.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, right. So by the end of it, they're like, I'm in season 10 now, and they're starting, like I said, they're starting to get some real crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like some absolute balls, like just skeletons are falling from the sky. It's crazy. There's so many skeletons in this show. And it's like, in order to make Bones unique, as I said, it's got humour and character development. But another element was the Angelatron, which is like the bullshit super science thing they invented. So they said rather than doing flashbacks like every other police procedure, they do like, oh, this is how you did the crime, and they have a flashback. They went, we don't want to do that because every cop show does that. Instead, one of our main characters just invents a supercomputer that just digitizes what happens.
Oh my god.
I'm just inputting the data now. It was the Angelator in the beginning of the series, and now this is the Angelatron.
I've asked Angela to create a reenactment of the victim's death.
Which is, in my opinion, much cooler.
Right, mate, it gets to the point where a villain on the show hacks into the FBI by putting inscribing a virus for the computer onto a bone. So when they scan the bone, the FBI gets a virus. It's like, and they have them say, "Oh no, there was a virus in the bones." It's like, what, you mean like a disease? No, you idiot, a computer virus. He hacks the bones. Someone hacks the skeletons, Lucas.
Get past our firewall.
Oh, it didn't. It originated in my computer.
Wait, but it wouldn't have gotten in there unless you had downloaded something.
Yeah, or uploaded.
All you uploaded were the scans of those bones.
Are you telling me that there's a computer virus in the bones?
Look, I have no idea how this happened, but it is the only explanation.
Fucking hell.
That's
great.
Digital hack skeletons.
And I was wondering, like, is it, I don't know if you remember or have like played the game, like Arkham Origins level of detective vision where Batman scans like 3 things and then it digitally recreates the entire like 60 seconds of what happened.
Mate, it is crazier than that. Oh, wow. Like they have this thing of like, there's one episode where they find like a single skull. It's like, you can't solve a crime from a single skull. It's like, fucking bones, I'm going to solve all the crimes with this skull. And it's I think my favourite bit is though, well, there's a lot of favourite bits, but a part of the show that I adore is they have a couple of very special episodes. And are you familiar with the concept of very special episodes in TV?
I might be, but not using that specific phrasing.
Okay, so very special episodes is a term used to describe when a TV show handles or tackles a subject which is like, currently on vogue in the real world. And it was most common in like a lot of teen or children's shows where it'd be like, oh, here's a very special episode about drugs. And they have like that really heavy-handed shit of like, oh yeah, why would anyone take drugs? It's like, because drugs are real bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
What I can't understand is why anyone would voluntarily become dependent on a chemical.
Voluntary addiction to drugs is a recurrent theme in many cultures.
Wesley, no one wants to become dependent. That happens later.
You shouldn't do bones, people.
Where they basically have like the characters of the show giving a PSA.
Mm-hmm.
But they have multiple ones of that, and the best one is when they find a guy and he's dead. They're like, oh man, what happened to his skeleton? I went, oh no. Well, I don't even want to say it. So what do you mean? It's like these injuries are conducive with like dying in a plane crash. And goes, well, why is that a big deal? He died on 9/11. And he's like, oh, 9/11 skeleton, let's go.
Those horrible men who hijacked those planes hijacked my religion that day too. They insulted my God. So no, this isn't too difficult. It's a privilege to be able to serve this victim, to show him the care and love that was so absent that day.
Oh no.
Lucas 9/11 skeleton. You're gonna do? What are you gonna do against the 9/11? Like you just imagine I'm sat there at home, I'm eating my takeaway, I've got a beer. You know, it's Friday night, I'm watching my bones. And then just suddenly 9/11 skeleton turns up. And do you know what Leonardo DiCaprio me? I'm like, 9/11 skeleton? And there's no one with me, so I can't tell anyone about the 9/11 skeleton. So I make a mental note that when we relaunch Wiki Weekends, we're going to do an episode on bones to talk about it.
You know, you could have told, Karl.
Who's that?
You could have told the skeleton that's right behind you.
I could have told, because I watch it. People now imagine me watching it with Boneley. So
I literally have this idea in my head. You sitting there like, with Boneley, just watching the TV. Like, look, Boneley, they're just like you. They found another one of your friends, Boneley.
You drink all your milk, you grow up big and strong like those skeletons. The other episode I have to mention, because the character David Boreanaz plays is called Seeley Booth, and he's an FBI agent, but initially he was like a sniper in the army. And it turns out that the reason why he became an FBI agent is because he's distantly related to John Wilkes Booth. So the guy who shot Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was some president assassination guy, yeah.
Yeah, and he really gets annoyed when people bring it up. He's like, no, I became an FBI agent to clear my family's name, even though, like, you know, it was 300 years ago, mate, get over it. But they have an episode where they find a skeleton they think is JFK.
Oh.
And they have to recreate the JFK assassination. And they have to get him to do it because he's the only one good enough at sniping. He's like, I can't. It's like, we know that your family has a history of assassinating presidents, but maybe by shooting this president, you can save your family. It's just... And they have him assassinate JFK skeleton.
Oh no!
And it's just so good. It's just bones.
I can't.
It's just bones. And they have just a list of all of the shows and stuff like that. But I do want to talk about the casting though, because there's a very interesting story about the casting of, because it's the thing that carries the show for the first couple of seasons is the will they won't they between David Boreanaz and Emily Deschanel. And apparently they're really good friends in real life because they spent so long working on this TV show, and I think they even directed a couple episodes each. And they said the reason Emily Deschanel was cast because David Boreanaz, he's quite a big dude. He's quite physically imposing. And during a line reading with him, he took a step forward, and she just held her hand out and went, "Don't do that." And every other actress they had a line reading with had taken a step back and went. As soon as she did that, she was bones because she was the only one who was willing to stand up to him. And that frigid. Initial standoffish relationship they had is what sold everyone on the show. It's one of the reasons I kept watching it. I'm like, yeah, I want to see David Boreanaz with his sniper rifle shooting skeletons slowly chipping away at the frosty exterior of Dr. Temperance Brennan.
So she's the very closed off one of the two then.
Yeah, and it's it's a very very standard TV show relationship, but just. I cannot stress enough, Lucas, that they find skeletons in chocolate bars in this TV show.
You said that earlier. I thought that was you being hyperbolic. Do they actually find skeletons within chocolate bars?
Yeah, they have an episode where one of the little cold opens is a fact, and that's the best bit about it as well. Is when you know there's going to be a skeleton, and it opens with something like, okay, when's the skeleton going to happen? And I remember watching. There's an episode. It's like a chocolate factory. And we've made the biggest chocolate bar ever to celebrate opening this chocolate factory.
No.
Let's cut open this chocolate bar. Oh, a saw stuck on something. Is that a nut? Oh, no, and then, boom, skeleton.
What is that? This horrible, horrible thing ruined our great unveiling of the world's largest chocolate bar.
Because, so I would have talked you through my thought process, because when you said skeleton on a chocolate bar, again, I thought you were being hyperbolic, and in my brain, there was an image of, a kid biting into a chocolate bar, and then all of a sudden an entire skeleton falls out of it. And then I was like,
close to that.
You mentioned factory, and I was like, well, of course, so what happened is a skeleton got ground up, and bits and pieces of skeleton are scattered across thousands of chocolate bars. But no, there's just one big skeleton in one big giant chocolate bar.
Yep. Like Lucas, they even have an episode at Christmas. And they find a skeleton in a Santa costume. And they have a thing of they look up the guy's name and it's Kris Kringle. This is not. And I'm like, is Santa in it? Are they going magic in this show now? And they almost do.
Screams are coming from inside.
Can I shoot it?
No! Jeez!
Oh, sorry!
Damn it! I said no!
Are you alright?
Don't shoot! No!
I think the bullet bounced off my bracelet. Just like Amazonium.
It's great, and that's the thing. And as I said, I watch the show for its entertainment value, but I'm keenly aware also there's a bunch of shit where I'm like, oh. They actually do, to their credit, they acknowledge it. For example, David Boreanaz's character, Seeley Booth, FBI agent, has a gun. And Temperance Brennan, at the start of the show, is like, give me a gun. He's like, I'm not giving you a gun. You're a civilian. You can't have a gun. And then, she keeps taking his gun off him, and he reiterates, I'm not allowed to do that. If someone else touches my gun, that's a big no-no. I also have to categorize every bullet that I fire and tell people why I did it. But then later in the show where they start to not give a shit, they just have Bones with a gun shooting all the skeletons.
Oh dear.
And it's Bones. And we didn't even get halfway. It was more than anything, it's just an excuse for me to speak for half an hour at you, Lucas, about Bones. And are you at least a little bit interested in watching an episode of Bones?
I'm way more interested now than kind of the way you've spoken in the past, because you didn't ever really delve into the silly side when we've discussed it previously.
Mm-hmm. And that's, and I'm assuming you thought I was being hyperbolic when I'm like, the skeletons everywhere. It's like the skeleton everywhere system, but I'm not. And I'm hoping some folks at home are also maybe interested in watching Bones. It's a fun show. But also, again, I reiterate, watch it with that, that modern lens of look out for shit that's super illegal. And if you've got any examples of that, let us know in the comments. I would love to know if there's any Bones fans out there. Let us know when your favourite skeleton reveal is. Alternately, if there's you watch police procedurals in the past, any favourite examples of just the police violating someone's rights in a TV show where it's played off as not a big deal.
And maybe we can, at one point, see if we can do a follow-up episode if they have an entry on just the list of skeleton reveals.
They do have a synopsis of episodes, so maybe a bonus episode we can do one day is just going through, season 5 or something, and just reading the synopsis of where they find the skeleton. If you'd like to see that, follow us on social media or check it out at the links below and just bug us about it. Maybe we'll do it at some point.
Maybe.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been Wiki Weekend. Do you know anything about the Karate Kid franchise, Lucas?
I've seen the first movie, but that's become a lot less part of this massive franchise nowadays.
Yeah, it's weird to think that the Karate Kid is a franchise now with lore.
Mm-hmm.
There's actual lore that you need to understand about the Karate Kid. It's Mr. Miyagi is basically just the Akuma of that franchise now. Where it's there's an episode where they discover secret Miyagi-Do scrolls in his old dojo that teach you forbidden techniques. He was developing the raging demon. Anyway, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Today we're talking about Cobra Kai on this episode of Wiki Weekends.
Mm-hmm. Well, Karl, I don't want to be the back in my day guy, but back in my day, it was just wax on and wax off.
Well, you might think that wax on, wax off was just a stupid thing they came up with in the 80s to make kids think they could learn martial arts in a summer by like waving their hands around like that. But what you didn't realise, Lucas, is that Mr. Miyagi invented the Raging Demon. I unironically love the Cobra Kai show because it is the closest we are ever going to get to live action anime. And I remember I told you, like, Lucas, you need to watch it because it's gone so off the rails, I would not be surprised if in the next season a character just threw a Hadouken.
Come on, Robbie! Kenny, stop! I'm not your enemy!
Like, if a character just randomly threw a Hadouken, or just did, like, the Shin Goku Satsu, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And keep in mind, it's a series that starts like it's a kid who's getting bullied and learns martial arts and to stand up for himself. It's basically, the martial arts are the least interesting part of that original movie. It's like, it's a story about a kid who moves to a new town and just can't make any friends because he's an arsehole.
Yeah, and like, when, Cobra Kai Season 1 came out, I heard people talking about it and go like, oh yeah, it's really good. Lots of like cool martial arts and whatever, and then I heard about like Season 5 and you're like, oh no, it's an anime now.
It becomes an anime. But for anyone out there who's like Lucas, whose familiarity with the Karate Kid franchise is just a passing familiarity with the idea of the Karate Kid, and maybe they know who Mr. Miyagi is, let's go through the wiki, because that's the beauty of Wiki Weekends, because we grab a wiki and we go through it to see what kind of discussion arises as a result. So Cobra Kai is an American martial arts comedy drama series, which is wrong. It's an anime. It is a live-action anime. They will be throwing Hadoukens in the next season. I will bet at some point, Lucas, they have special moves.
What did he teach them? Kim Sung-young was master of Tang Sudo, but that is not what he taught. His style was controversial.
Do you know when I said like the secret Miyagi-Do scrolls that teach you forbidden secret techniques? Like, do you know that bullshit thing in anime of like, oh, you punch the person in this location and then they're paralyzed? The Miyagi-Do scrolls teach you how to do that. It's this forbidden technique.
Time for you and Miyagi to reunite. If an enemy insists on war, then you take away their ability to wage it.
I swear down, like he's gonna open up like there's a new forbidden Miyagi-Do scroll, and on it just the input for a Raging Demon.
I'm just gonna see like the like diagram of the body and how to open all 8 gates.
Now go! Yes, sir!
So fast.
And Lucas, I can tell from your face, you're taking the piss. You're smiling as you say that. But never forget, in the first Karate Kid movie, Mr. Miyagi has healing magic. Magic has been in the Karate Kid franchise. You forget, right? You forget that when Daniel-san gets his leg swept, when the leg is swept, like he's like, oh no, I can't stand up, my leg hurts. Mr. Miyagi walks up, and he doesn't do anything. He just like rubs his hands over the wound, and it heals. He can heal. So the idea of opening all 8 gates is not that far out of the realm of possibility for one of these like shows.
I guess you're not wrong, because like it's not even as if he, gets adrenaline in him, does the crane kick, and then like, oh, my leg still really hurts. He's fine.
He's fine, yeah. Because in the 80s, martial arts was basically magic, because it was a thing that Hollywood didn't understand. That's like a classic trope, right? In movies of, here's a thing writers don't understand. And because writers are the smartest people in Hollywood, if they don't understand it, it must be magic. Like, think about all the movies with, like, computers and the internet in, before the internet was ubiquitous, and it was basically magic. Like that, like, Hackers film, where they're like, hack the planet, and they're just like, oh yeah, people with you give a kid a laptop and an internet connection, and he can just steal money from a bank. Because writers don't know what the internet is, and they just assume it's magic.
Come on, yes! Hey, it worked. All right. Easy money.
I mean, even nowadays, like more modern movies, I remember like the movie Lucy was it? Where it was like the AI that became Scarlett Johansson and just... It was like, oh yeah, she can control the universe, basically.
Because it's based on that like old bullshit thing of like, you only use 10% of your brain. It's like, that's not true.
If 90% of our brain is free, well, we could do so much more with it. Like solve complex problems, multitask on an epic scale, or just levitate cats.
Yeah, exactly. We've got different areas of the brain that are doing different things.
No, but Lucas, that's hard to explain, and because writers are stupid, they assume everyone is as stupid as that. It's one of those things where once it's pointed out to you, you'll notice it and go, yeah, they do think these things are magic, and martial arts was a real bad one in the 80s, because people didn't really know what they were.
Mm.
And, like, they had these films coming from, like, Hong Kong, of, like, these phenomenal martial artists doing these things that looked superhuman. And there's a story Bruce Lee told when he first like came over to Hollywood and was doing like Hollywood productions where people thought he had magic powers. Because like, you know, he could do things that an ordinary person would deem to be superhuman. Like he could throw a punch faster than the eye could see. He could like, you know, kick someone who's like 4 foot taller than he was. Like you have that famous shot of him like fighting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar where he can like lift his foot all the way in the air. And there's a story he told where there was a scene in one of the movies he was going to be in that called for him to jump onto the top of a roof. And he turned up for filming that day. He's like, so, how are we going to realise this? And the person's like, well, can't you just do that? So what? So can't you just jump onto the roof? He's like, no. No? How? It's like, no, but I've seen in like, you know, Hong Kong movies that people can jump that high. He's like, that's special effects. Like, they just legit thought Bruce Lee could jump that high. And he's like, I can jump pretty high, but I'm not, no one's that good.
The thing is, though, if you'd seen what Bruce Lee can do and he told you, yeah, I'm magic, would you question it?
Well, that's what makes it so funny, though, because that's where you've got, like, the career of Steven Seagal. Have you ever seen that, like, really embarrassing, because I'm putting a clip into this, that really embarrassing interview with Steven Seagal, because it was, like, the 80s and people didn't know, like, stuff like pressure points, and that was complete bullshit. He's talking about how he's mastered a martial art. It's all about the movement of energy. And it's just him stood, gently pushing people who tackle him over. And they frame it as if like, well, he's so in control of his energy and the control and flow of chi. And it's like, no, they're just people who are running at him head first and he's pushing them over. But because he like just frames it as, oh, it's this ancient technique that no one understands, people believed it for a really long time.
I mean, Steven Seagal is one of the most successful con men out there.
He is, yeah. Cobra Kai, as we mentioned, it is a live-action anime series and a sequel to The Karate Kid, created by Robert Mark Kamen. The series was created by Josh Heald, John Hurwitz, and Hayden Schlossberg, and is distributed by Sony Pictures Television. It was initially released on YouTube Red/YouTube Premium. Remember when YouTube tried to make TV and they thought, okay, loads of people are watching these like YouTubers. Do you know what's a good idea? Let's make television shows that revolve around YouTubers. Because, yeah, do you know, Lucas, do you know who's charismatic enough to carry a half-an-hour long episode? Ignore the runtime of this one, folks. YouTubers.
Hi there, is Mr. YouTube available to see us?
Hey, you're the backflip microphone guy! Where'd the microphone go? I think it's in that boy's ass!
They're also very good actors.
How do you like the new Nerdmobile, boys? Yeah?
Great. It's like, I get it when it was stuff like, I remember Vsauce got paid money to like, hey, make just a higher production version of what you're doing on Vsauce. Yep. It's like, that stuff makes perfect sense.
But it's when they thought, let's turn this into a movie. And like, never forget, like, there was that glut of YouTuber movies in the 2010s, and they are all awful. And it's really funny as well, because a lot of the YouTubers who were making those movies were like YouTube critics, who you know, their raison d'etre was shitting on bad movies, and then they went ahead and made really bad movies. It's like, not so easy, is it?
Party's over, kids.
Yeah.
It's almost like this is a skill that not many people have, including you. But he mentions here that the series stars Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, who reprise their roles as Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, respectively, from the 1984 film and its sequels. And Lucas, you said you're not too familiar with the Karate Kid franchise besides just, hey, like you've seen the first one because it was always on TV when you were a kid. But you are aware of the series enough to know that, like, just Ralph Macchio's character Daniel LaRusso is a prick, right? He basically causes every problem in that first movie.
Yeah, he definitely does. And, like, obviously people are going to be screaming already. There is, like, the bit of trivia of, like, well, the reason I was made aware of, like, go and rewatch the Karate Kid film, see how it really goes down, was because of How I Met Your Mother and the gag in that.
Well, which it does mention in this wiki, was partially responsible for the existence of this show.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether, like, it actually had anything to do with Cobra Kai.
It's William Zabka, isn't it? He has a recurring role on that show, and he talks about how, like, I'm the Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the film, from the way, Johnny Lawrence is the Karate Kid. He's the one who trains real hard, has the abusive, like, parental figures, who is like, I think in any other 80s movie, he'd be the hero.
Yeah.
But then Daniel LaRusso turns up, antagonizes him, hits on his girlfriend, and obviously, yeah, William Zabka is a teenager, he beats him up. Because it's an 80s movie and bullies have to beat people up.
You couldn't leave well enough alone. Could you, little twerp? No, you had to push it. Well, now you're gonna pay.
But then you have that bit where Mr. Miyagi goes into the dojo and says, stop picking on Daniel. They'll fight at this tournament, they'll get their frustrations out there. And William Zabka's character's like, okay, sure, I'll do that. And Daniel LaRusso spends the rest of the movie intentionally antagonizing him.
I told him to get lost, mind your own business. Out of nowhere, the guy sucker punches. What an asshole.
And then obviously uses, like, the illegal move at the end to win.
Okay, yes, but he mentions here that the Cobra Kai re-examines the Karate Kid narrative from Johnny's point of view, beginning with the decision to reopen the Cobra Kai Karate Dojo and rekindling his old rivalry with Daniel. And that's the thing, I like that the show is just like, it's actually a really good drama, because it's the idea of the guy who peaked in high school, and what would he be doing with his life now? And the answer is, still salty about the fact he was hot shit in high school and was never able to capitalize on that.
The one thing that, I haven't seen the TV show, but they both have their own dojos, right?
Yeah, so he makes Cobra Kai first, and then Daniel LaRusso's like, well, that's not what karate is. He doesn't understand what karate is. It's up to me, white guy, to explain to people what karate is, because I knew a Japanese guy for a little bit.
That's it. Balance good. Karate good. Everything good. Miyagi-Do is not about fighting.
For like one summer.
That's like the other thing about the Karate Kid franchise, where it's just one random Japanese dude, just like, he understands karate because he's Japanese, and like, the 80s, like, well, he must know martial arts, right? I think, like, Pat Marisha, who played Mr. Miyagi's like, I guess I did a little bit of karate, but I didn't really know how to fight. People just assume that I could, though, because racism.
I come to learn karate from the greatest, most revered master the martial arts world has ever known.
Oh, well.
Hey, listen, man, I want to be just like Steven Seagal.
Oh, you want to be a bad actor?
But what makes it really funny is, he's like, clearly, like, Ralph Macchio is in great shape, but he's not in the shape of karate master, whereas like William Zabka is, because he stayed in pretty decent shape, because he could actually do all the shit he could in the original movie, whereas like, Ralph Macchio never actually properly learned how to fight.
Keep up this defense on me shit forever.
Very rarely did actors learn how to do any stunts or fight work or anything back in the day.
And one of the funny things about rewatching the Karate Kids, when you watch the fight scenes, you can see that, like, the smaller bit part actors who actually know how to fight, because they were presumably just, oh, these are kids who know how to do actual martial arts, let's put them in the movie as like antagonists and side characters. But Ralph Macchio didn't know how to fight, and the funniest thing to me is his fighting stance. Because his fighting stance is, he puts one foot in front of him and stands like this, like a fucking praying mantis. It's like, I've never seen that fighting style outside of a Mortal Kombat game.
Outside of Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah. It's like, there are numerous martial arts, but I've never seen a fighting style where the whole thing is putting one foot in front of you and bouncing up and down really quick like this. But just no one told Ralph Macchio because he was already famous. And he didn't want to fucking learn how to fight.
And obviously that alludes to, like, the crane kick and all that jazz, but yeah, it doesn't look like an effective fighting style at all.
No, he doesn't. And there's a few bits where like, he'll do like a decent enough combination, but it's still a thing of, yeah, like Johnny Lawrence would have realistically kicked his fucking ass.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, I do know that people still have stuntmen and stuntwomen now. Like, never take away from the work that stunt people do, but just they have a little bit more involvement nowadays, generally.
And I feel as well, it's a little bit of an ego thing for a lot of actors. And I'm not sure exactly what movie I would point to as the beginning of it, but I think that first Daniel Craig James Bond movie with the parkour, like Daniel Craig learned to do a lot of that like choreography himself. Obviously, you had a stuntman doing a big bunch of it, but like I remember there being a lot of like column inches dedicated to the fact that all those cool stunts that you see James Bond doing, Daniel Craig did a lot of those himself, and I think a lot of actors must have seen the response to that and also wanted to get those column inches talking about how good they were. And obviously we have to mention Tom Cruise. He's been doing that shit for ages, but by that point it's not really like, you know, newsworthy that Tom Cruise did his own stunts.
I mean, to be fair, you say that, but people still, like, make videos and stuff about how Tom Cruise got, you know, on the side of the plane and all this jazz. Like, it is still, like, newsworthy considering how over the top those stunts have gotten over the years, and he probably did help kick off a bit of a craze.
Probably, but I think, like, specifically I'd point to that first Daniel Craig Bond movie, just specifically because, like, they didn't expect Daniel Craig to do his own stunts, and he did. He was like, you know, he broke that expectation that, oh, well, Bond's doing cool parkour shit now. Oh, wait, so Bond's awesome now?
And he didn't do all of his stunts like any actor, just to clarify, but, you know.
And it's a shame as well, because, like, that means... I know those, like, Daniel Craig Bond movies, like, 'cause they're the gritty reboots.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a shame, because the Pierce Brosnan ones kind of get overlooked as, like, the campy ones, but Pierce Brosnan did learn how to fight, specifically for that fencing scene in that one Bond movie. Which is really fucking... It's one of, like, the best sword fights committed to film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in a Bond movie. In like, it's the midpoint to show how cool Bond is. And it's really, really well choreographed. And, like, Pierce Brosnan never gets credit for how much effort he put into that scene.
Yeah, I'd assumed, because obviously it's fencing, that just, like... have they got masks on? I can't remember, but I assumed it was just, like, a stunt person.
It's largely a stunt person, but Pierce Brosnan did learn to do a lot of it himself. And I think it's because when you think back to a lot of those earlier Bond movies, the action set pieces in your head that you tend to remember are the car chasers and stuff that's not as physically demanding. But I do contend that fight scene, like just the fencing scene, is really, really good. And I want to give a shout out to that, because someone probably will mention that. Like, oh, well, I think it's Die Another Day. That's the one where, like, you know, Pierce Brosnan did that. But I don't remember that getting as much column inches. Whereas I remember the Casino Royale, that parkour scene. There was so much, like, conversation about that parkour scene specifically.
Brosnan never gets credit for, like, surfing that giant tidal wave either.
He did it for real, yeah. He did it for real. Like, he purposely made himself, like, you know, look worse with CGI. It's great. Anyway, production. The thematic genesis for Cobra Kai began with a few works of pop culture. The first, a 2007 music video for the song Sweep the Leg by No More Kings, which stars William Zabka, who also directed the video, as a caricature of himself as Johnny, and features numerous references to the Karate Kid, including cameo appearances from Zabka's Karate Kid co-stars.
I think the thing that gets me is that it was directed by William Zabka as well.
Because, like, that's the thing, it's basically been the cornerstone of his entire career. Like, he talks about how, like, you know, I was the asshole bully in that film, and that's how people saw me for the next 15 years of my life.
Yeah.
And credit to him, he owned it.
That's the thing, like, he owned it in a way where it didn't feel like, oh, this guy's just, like, the one-hit wonder touring 20 years later.
And I would not begrudge him if he became like a curmudgeonly arsehole about that, because I can't imagine what it's like for 20 years, people just assuming you are the arsehole they saw in a film when they were 5 years old. I can't imagine what that must be like. So, fair play to him for having a sense of humour about it. He mentions here that, 2010 interview, Zabka jokingly discussed the video in the context of his vision that Johnny was the true hero of the film. Next, in June 2010, Macchio appeared in Funny or Die's online short, Wax On, Fuck Off, in which his loved one saved an intervention to turn the former child star from a well-adjusted family man into an addict besieged with tabloid scandals in order to help his career. It's that thing of like, you're too well-adjusted, mate. You need to hit someone with your car. All those stars from the 80s hit someone with their car. Have you thought about hitting someone with your car? I don't want to hit someone with that. You better hit someone with your... I don't know if that's the joke they make, but I imagine it's in that vein.
How's he going to have a career? He's not an alcoholic. He doesn't do prostitutes. If he were a degenerate, I could sell him.
Yeah, like you have to get yourself to look more scandalous, otherwise you won't be in headlines.
A recurring joke in the sketch is that Macchio is often confused for an adolescent. The short was lauded by TV guys Bruce Fretz, who referred to the video as side-splitting and comic gold. Finally, in 2013, Macchio and Zabka made guest appearances as themselves on the television sitcom How I Met Your Mother, specifically the episode The Bro Mitzvah. In the episode, Macchio was invited to Barney Stinson's bachelor party, leading Barney to shout that he hates Macchio and that Johnny was the real hero of Karate Kid. Which more than anything just shows that How I Met Your Mother was like, literally half a decade late to the joke.
I hate Ralph Macchio. I hate him. He is not the Karate Kid. The Karate Kid was William Zabka, star pupil of the Cobra Kai dojo.
It was, yeah, but I do like the way that they pull it off, because Zabka's like the clown that they don't realise is there the entire episode. And then at the end of the night where he's like, it's all been ruined, and then he's like, I wanted Zabka. He's the Karate Kid. He's like, I've been here the entire time.
But the fact that they were making that joke as early as 2007, and it appeared in 2013 in How I Met Your Mother, which just goes to show like how far behind like the jokes a lot of TV writers are, right?
Yeah, especially like the mainstream popular sitcoms is just like they're so far behind the ball.
It's like when you watch, it's like a lot of Simpsons is very prescient. And a lot of early Simpsons is timeless. But I remember when me and you were talking about like that reboot of Futurama, of like, it takes 6 months plus to make one episode of Futurama, and they're making jokes about shit that was in the news 3 years ago. It feels so dated on release.
Yeah, it immediately, like, just, I think one of the first episodes of that season is like, hey, this is the Bitcoin episode. Isn't Bitcoin hilarious? It's like,
the internet memed on that like 5 years ago. It's like this thing in
that's late.
Mining Bitcoin with kidnapped robot heads? It's pure evil.
Hardly. I donate all the proceeds to a local orphanage.
Oh.
But I can't let you tell anyone about my generous scheme.
Like, How I Met Your Mother put a joke in that William Zabka himself was already tired of making and made 7 years earlier. He mentions here that this all culminated in influencing the launch of Cobra Kai, with the idea behind it being to give a more balanced perspective for the Johnny-Daniel relationship along with other characters. Zabka also continued to be a recurring character throughout the 9th season of the show. Just the idea that, they looked at that and went, okay, that's pretty funny. People clearly like these characters, a lot of nostalgia for this series. And that's actually an interesting perspective. Should we explore that?
Yeah, and like fair play to them for actually leaning into it and not just doubling down on, oh yeah, we know that you guys think that like Zabka's the real Karate Kid, but actually no, Russo's the best.
Yeah, and in that vein, Lucas, is there like something you would like to see the Cobra Kai treatment given to? Like, folks at home let us know about this too. Of like, is there a show or a film or a property from, further back in time that you're a fan of, you would love to see just re-examined through a modern lens?
Well, you've thrown me in this without like much preparation time, so have you got a thought?
Well, no, I like Cobra Kai. I like the idea of it's this property from the 80s. I think the 80s and maybe early 90s, there's a lot of like those comedies that really aren't funny anymore. And it reminds me a little bit of American Pie and American Pie Reunion, which is like the send-off to the franchise. And that was made like 15 years after the gross-out boner comedy had basically been invented by that first American Pie movie. And they hang a lampshade on all of the tropes. Like, Stifler wants to, like, start a fight with some teenagers. And they're like, Stifler, we're 40.
Stifler? Are you crazy? Jesus, Stifler. What happened to just stealing their beer?
I know, this is so much better, right?
What? Destroyed their jet skis.
They splashed us. So...
We can't do this anymore. We'll get arrested. Or like when he's at work acting like Stifler, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about, dude? This isn't high school. Or there's like one scene where they're trying to like engage in some classic teen sex comedy hijinks, where they like knock on a guy's door and say, excuse me, a car broke down, can we use your phone? The guy's like, do you guys not have cell phones? Like, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, because the movie that they first started like 15 years ago, and now that cell phones exist, so these plot points make no sense.
Well, we just got engaged.
Yeah.
What? That's so fucking gay.
Yeah, Stifler. We are gay.
Yeah, half the lacrosse team was gay. You must have known that, right?
Dude, you walked in on Doug and Barry in the shower.
I just thought they were wrestling.
They were.
I mean, speaking about, like, you know, mainstream sitcoms, I think maybe going back and just, like, say, for example, Seinfeld. You could just get Jerry Seinfeld back to be like, hey, dude, you're not funny anymore and you're being a bit of a prick.
Wasn't that just Seinfeld in real life anyway?
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah. But, like, another one would be probably Friends.
Yeah, I would like the idea of, like, like a group of, like, attractive people with unlimited free time and seemingly endless income living in New York, having just silly adventures. It's like, I would love to see that examined through a more realistic lens of, like, people look back on that show and say, it's kind of ridiculous. They live in a made-up fantasy version of New York, right?
They really do. And obviously, like, you know, rest in peace, Matthew Perry, like, fantastic, like, actor as Chandler, but, like, the characters themselves are often, like, very awful. And the one that everyone always points to is Ross. And it's like, maybe take a lens on, like, Ross and Monica specifically of, like, you two are really messed up.
Why? I tried attacking two women, did not work. What? No, I mean, it's okay. I mean, they're my friends. In fact, I was married to one of them.
Let me get this straight, man. You attacked your ex-wife?
Oh, no. I tried.
It would be really interesting to see, like, oh, flash forward 20 years, what's happened in the Friends universe? It's like, well, Rachel and Ross separated very quickly because Ross was a psychopath.
Immediately,
yeah.
Because why would they not?
It's like, yeah, we've been spending the last 19 years trying to keep the restraining order against Ross in place.
And as someone who loves, like, you know, seeing tropes broken down and lampshaded, that'd be really interesting for me. And before we move on, Lucas, like, I would be remiss if I did not mention the show Kevin Can Fuck Himself, which is literally this exact idea, and it's done really well. And basically it is a classic 90s sitcom, complete with the schlubby husband who's just so wacky and bad at his job, and he's like, oh, woe is me, I fucked up, and now, like, you know, the kids are going to school with, like, you know, ketchup on their outfits, and they film it in the traditional, like, you know, multi-camera format.
No liquor, only beer. We have that appointment at the bank first thing tomorrow.
Hey, I'll take it easy like Sunday morning.
It's Monday morning.
What?
Huh?
But then, when you go to the wife's perspective, it just goes to a single camera format. And it's like a drama of, like, what it'd be like to be the wife of just this fucking man-child who never learns a lesson.
Hey, babe.
Yes.
Can you grab us freshies? Allison, avert your eyes. I can't have you leaving Kevin for me.
And it'll show you, like, a classic, like, sitcom trope or, like, you know, episode shenanigans. And it shows it from her perspective. Like, he'll do like classic sitcom thing, like making a huge big mess. I'm like, oh, end of the episode, everyone laughs. And it shows her, like, cleaning it up.
I'm the gift that keeps on giving, baby. Sorry I passed out in your rose bushes last night. Oh, Miss Hercules over here.
And she's like, why does nobody but me see that my husband's an arsehole? Yeah. And it's like that thing of like, what would it be like to actually live with this character? The answer is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, of course, because it's all over-exaggerated, right? It's like, these are not realistic people, and just it'd be a nightmare to be around any of them because they're just amped up for the camera.
Yeah, and that's what it explores, of what it would actually be like to live with these characters. And just like, it's just the stark contrast between like the super studio lighting with like the multi-camera format, and then just cuts to his wife just sat on the sofa just like, okay. So I would recommend that show for anyone out there who wants to see this idea explored. And we'll move on now, Lucas, to casting. So according to Josh Heald, John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg, only characters from the original 4 films, The Karate Kid Part 2, Karate Kid Part 3, and The Next Karate Kid, comprise what they call the Miyagi-verse.
Oh, so this is just their way of being like, hey, the one with like Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan, that never happened.
And they say that these are characters who have directly interacted with Mr. Miyagi. As a result, they do not consider the Karate Kid, which is stupid. It should be called the Kung Fu Kid, because he learns Kung Fu, which they even joke about in the film, like, it's not karate, it's Kung Fu. So why is it called the Karate Kid, dipshit?
Because that's IP, Karl.
And also the animated series. They're not considered to be canon to their universe.
Okay.
It mentions here that in Season 1, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka reprised their respective Karate Kid roles of Daniel Russo and Johnny Lawrence. Additional Karate Kid actors include Randy Heller, who reprised her role as Lucille LaRusso, Daniel's mother, and Martin Cove in his role as John Kreese. The cast list for Season 1 included Zolo Marijuana, Mary Mauser, Tanner Buchanan, and Corny Henegler. Ed Asner was cast in a guest role as Johnny's verbally abusive stepfather, Sid Weinberg. And I do apologise if I pronounced any of those names incorrectly. And one of the things I like is they got a lot of like the younger actors to be like, the next generation, the Karate Kids. They actually got people who are decent at martial arts.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And you can see them, if they weren't on this show, they'd have been in the short run-in to be like, the next set of Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm. And I have heard, like, decent things about a fair few of them. Like, I've heard that it's been fairly well cast over the years.
Pretty well cast, yeah. And, like, they're good actors. Like, they're obviously very capable of performing a lot of the action and stunts for themselves.
Who's next?
The reason I say it basically turns into an anime is that, okay, when you've got a film set in the 80s, it's believable that you would have random roving gangs of karate students beating people up. In the days of mobile phones and the internet and, like, the really hardline stance of no fucking bullying in schools because a kid might turn up with a fucking gun, it becomes more and more unbelievable that these kids keep getting into random giant karate fights.
You good?
Yeah, you?
Including one episode where there is a 15-minute long fight scene in school.
Stop! Oh, you want some of this? Whoa!
Where they're like, it goes all the way through the school and culminates with, like, the weird older guy who just ingratiates himself with the teenage karate students, who becomes a security guard at the school, going, don't worry, I'll handle this. And you think, oh, thank God, authority figures, going to blow his whistle and stop the fighting. He just starts beating up children.
Give me security in the main corridor right away. It's okay, sir. I got this.
Like, it's like there's one kid where he puts his head into a locker. But what's really funny is, in the next season, he gets fired because they have, like, one of the things I love about the show it's similar to that Kevin can fuck himself idea where you'll have these like outlandish, exaggerated like 80s tropes realised with like better choreography and slightly more budget. Then they'll smash cut to like how it would actually go down. Like they have the next season, like the PTA meeting where the kids like, okay, what happened to that guy who beat up my son? Is he still working? No, he's fired, he's gone. We got rid of him straight away.
We feel your frustration, but the NEA guidelines are quite clear that no teacher can get between two students fighting.
What about that next beer teacher who attacked all the kids?
Mr. Stingray never worked here. Last we heard, he's on probation and not allowed within 500 feet of any child.
Yeah, who's the guy who's putting people through lockers? Yeah, he's been fired.
And they just say, yeah, he got fired straight away, don't worry about it.
Break it up!
Screw this. They don't pay me enough.
Or like Daniel LaRusso's wife, where he's talking about how, I'm going to go drive down to meet Johnny so we can have a karate fight on the beach. And his wife's like, do you not have work? Do you not have to, like, what about the business?
You know you're an adult, right? Like, you can't just be doing this shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I love that, like, juxtaposition of they'll have, like, the really dramatic, like, I need to go for this karate fight. And it smash cuts to his wife, who's like, why?
Amanda, that is not what happened.
Regardless, now I've lost any shot of joining that charity, much less the board.
That's all Silver's fault. He was messing with me the whole time.
And you let him. You knew how important this was to me, and yet you could not, for one day, put the stupid rivalry aside. I'm afraid we're never going to have normalcy ever again.
You're 40. Why does it matter? And they even have a scene where they, like, the wives, or like the girlfriend of Johnny and the wife of Daniel meet up and they talk about how stupid it is. They're still obsessed with this karate fight. And, like, Johnny's like, yeah, it was pretty stupid. I did win, though. It's like, you didn't win. It's like, I definitely won. Let's have a karate fight right now. It's like, God damn it.
So, have the man boys filled you in on the whole mortal enemy karate dojo battling for the soul of the valley thing?
Wait. You both have karate dojos?
It's like, guys, it's been like 30 odd years. You need to get over this.
Just get over it. It reminds me, it's my favourite joke in Shaun of the Dead. Where, like, Peter Serafinowicz, like, it was like, speaking of, like, looking at a character and seeing them in a new light, like, when you first watch Shaun of the Dead, like, oh, Peter Serafinowicz, he's such a prick.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get older and you think, like, you know, when you're in your 30s, you think, what would it actually be like to have a roommate who just listens to techno at 2 a.m. with his, like, dickhead mate who's moved in 6 months ago and doesn't pay rent when you've got work in the morning? And your reaction probably would be exactly what Peter Serafinowicz is. It's like, the door is still open!
No. I've got a splitting headache, and your stupid hip-hop isn't helping. And the front door is open again!
Yeah, like, they've got into the habit of just leaving the door wide open in just a street in the middle of London. Like, yeah.
And I love that bit where, like, Sean tries to play on his nostalgia. It's like, you know, we had some good times, right? It's like, yeah, I remember when we stayed up drinking apple schnapps playing Tekken 2, and Sean's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was like, that was 10 years ago.
When's he gonna move out?
When's he going home? It's great, right? It's so good.
No, come on, stop it, we're friends! He's not my friend, he's a fucking idiot!
What's that supposed to mean?
It means, why don't you fuck off? You want to live like an animal? Go live in a shed, you thick fuck!
Oh, leave him alone!
Stop defending him, Sean!
And they have this great episode where, like, Johnny meets up with all his old friends, and just from body type alone, you can tell which of those actors continued acting and which one's just retired. Because the William Zabka is in great shape for a man of his age. A bunch of his friends turn up and they just look like dads, because they are. Because they're not actors anymore, they're dads. But they still make them do a karate fight scene.
Oh, God.
Because they're supposed to be like the original Cobra Kai.
This is the fight zone! Don't pull your finger away!
Yeah, and it says, like, you know, there's another season set to be released soon, which is why we're creating this episode, because hopefully we can just, like, capitalise a little bit on the interest in the series, because goddamn do I love me some Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do want to get around to watching it, because the moment you described it as just, oh, it's gotten live action anime now, I was like, okay, this sounds more up my street.
Yeah, it's so good. And If you are a fan of Cobra Kai and you would like to continue discussing the series with other fans, including myself, you can follow a link to our Discord found below. You can like, you can comment with feedback or suggestions. You can also make suggestions for stuff we can cover on future episodes, either in the comment section below or on our Discord. You can also influence, that's right, influence the kind of content that we make by subscribing to our Patreon, where once a month myself and Lucas will put up a selection of topics we've had suggested to us over the years and just allow our audience to choose which one gets made into an episode. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can click the links below. Otherwise, thank you for watching and see you all next time. Remember, strike hard, strike first. No mercy.
Cobra Kai.
That's the thing as well. I love when he makes his own logo. And he calls it Eagle Fang Karate, and it's eagles don't have fangs. Shut up, it's badass though. And it's okay, it's pretty badass. So that's one of the things, because I've not even talked about how Johnny Lawrence's character is just an old metalhead, and he drives around in a fucking beat up old muscle car, just listening to heavy metal all the time. And there is a fantastic fucking episode, which is my favourite one, and it really shows off his acting chops, where it's him trying to make money using modern stuff. He becomes an Uber driver.
Oh,
so he becomes an Uber driver. Can you play some Billie Eilish? He's oh, Billy Idol, yeah, I'll put that on for you. And no, that's not what we want.
Can you turn down the music? I'm in the middle of a deal here.
Hey, shut the hell up. This is the best part.
Or he becomes a delivery driver, and he's delivering food, and he's just eating the food. I'm not going to give you a tip, I'm going to give you a bad review. It's the fuck do I care about a bad review? Who cares what you do on your phone? Give me my money.
1 star? Does the car smell like beer? It's because there is beer, asshole.
He doesn't understand what technology is, and when they get him a phone, they get him a smartphone. It's what makes it so fucking smart? It's a rectangle, I can smash this thing, no problem. And it's just so good. Watch the show. Faraway Lucas and lovely audience at home, are you all ready for another episode of Wiki Weekends, the series where I scour the lengths and breadths of the internet to find a wiki on something I'd like to talk about? And today, we're picking one of my favourite shows, or technically 2 of my favourite shows. And Lucas, they star a very angry chef who just cannot fathom how so many restaurants are so shit. Do you want to hazard a guess at what the show is?
I might think it's Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares.
It is Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares.
Burn! You're cooking in a burnt pan, you fucking dick!
So this episode has been a long time coming, Lucas, because you know that I love Gordon Ramsay.
And you know that I love specifically Kitchen Nightmares.
And did you know, Lucas, that Kitchen Nightmares can refer to 2 different shows? There is the better-known American version, known simply as Kitchen Nightmares, which is where most of the memes come from. Then there is the British version that started it, called Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, or alternately, Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares in some broadcasts.
Yeah, and it's really funny because a lot of the American ones were, they get very antagonistic with one another.
Yep.
A lot of the British ones are I give up.
It doesn't feel like a kitchen. No energy, no excitement, no passion, really, and sort of care and love for food. Just get it in the bowl and fuck off out of it.
And it's fascinating to watch both versions of the show. And I'm a fan of both for different reasons. I like the British version because it is just a really good reality show about an expert in the field of running a restaurant walking in and just telling people what they're doing wrong. And then the American version's good because it's just a bunch of idiots being yelled at by a British guy who knows better than them, which, just soothes my British soul.
That's my stuff. Really? Fuck me. Seriously? Why throw my lemons like that for? Why are you taking my product and you're molding you?
I'm just seeing the most stubborn, pig-headed Americans I know what I'm doing. And then Gordon Ramsay's you're an idiot, is how you should do it. No.
And then just the worst part about the entire show is so many of them, take the advice and then you come back a few months later and they've reversed every single decision.
Yeah, and I'll never forget one of my favourite episodes because you can just watch full episodes on YouTube because the Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares channel just uploads them all for free. And there's one where a guy's coming in and goes, okay, so Ramsay's told us to do this, this, and this, but that's just his opinion. And like the sous chef just goes, well, it's a pretty, profitable opinion, mate. That's all that needs to be said. He's known as the world's most successful chef. And so, well, that's just like, his opinion. It's like, it's a pretty profitable opinion.
Yeah, just whenever they do the taste test and the ones where they're so adamant that it's good food that they'll taste it and be like, yeah, perfect, best thing I've ever eaten. It's like, you are either so stubborn or have the biggest blinkers on.
My food is the best food that's possibly made. So everything is atrocious, chef.
Well, the best episode for that is like probably one of the more infamous episodes, like the burger restaurant, where it's the two parents who stole their son's inheritance. And he's like 22 years old and he's already going bald from stress. Which it shouldn't be funny, but it's that thing of like, it's just so extreme. And like Gordon Ramsay serves them a seasoned burger for the first time ever, and they're like, "That's terrible. It tastes awful." And everyone's like, "Do you not know what seasoning is?"
What is that strong taste that I'm tasting?
Gruyere cheese, and it's smoked, right? Yes. Yeah, I love it.
And I'm always reminded of that like amazing like news segment where that like white anchor dude tries seasoned chicken for the first time and he starts like beating his fist because he's never eaten seasoned chicken. Oh, boys, just give me more
really...
Go on, Lucas.
Sorry, I really hope you figure out how to find that clip, because you've mentioned that clip several times and I've never seen it.
Oh, Joe, I'll find it for the edit.
Dirty rice, shrimp Alfredo, smothered turkey leg. I'm almost drooling.
Because Lucas, you can cook some pretty goddamn good chicken. And I remember when I was at your house the other week, and you went, well, instead of ordering a takeaway tonight, I've just made some chicken. And me and a friend were like, yeah, that's good. And then by end at night, it was all gone because we kept going, got any more of that chicken, Lucas? It's had like a slow cooker full of chicken. It was like, throughout the night, we were just going, might get some more chicken.
It started out as both you being like, I might get like, one sandwich for like a bit of chicken, and then just like coming back for seconds and thirds.
And just by the end of the evening, it's like, man, I could proper go for some chicken. But I'm technically reading from two wikis here. So we've got the Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and the Kitchen Nightmares, which are essentially the same show. We'll start with Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, the original that aired on British television. So Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, a television programme featuring British celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay, first broadcast in 2004. And we all know the premise of like Kitchen Nightmares, don't we? It says Gordon Ramsay goes to a failing restaurant and yells at the owner until they fix it.
There's two ways in this industry. You move with the times, or the times moves you.
I always think to myself like, oh man, I'm a little bit stressed about like the way the world is and the fact that there's like financial crises going on and stuff. And then you turn on something like this and it's like, this person has like got themselves into $500,000 debt and just on a failing restaurant. I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better.
It could be worse. And one of the things I like about the British version is that more emphasis is placed on training the chef. Like Ramsay will more often than not, like, take the chef out and like, teach them something. Whereas the American version is more about the business side, which you can just see as the difference there between like American and British culture. If we care more about the human element, where in America it's more about the drama. Because like, as you said, in like every American one, it's like, they are $500,000 in debt. Whereas the British version is more about just how many customers you're getting in, like how many covers you have on an evening, what like, you're doing to like appeal to the local community. Whereas the American version is a little bit more slick, a bit more produced, which is one of the criticisms which we can get to. But in 2009, Ramsay announced that after a 4-year contract expired in 2011, he would not continue with Kitchen Nightmares and would instead work on other shows. Like, because he's got like 50 different shows. He's got so many shows.
Yeah, he's all over the shop, and I'm sure MasterChef makes him way more money than like Kitchen Nightmares does. But it's one of those of, I think, like, obviously, I'm sure the wiki probably mentions it, of a lot of people criticize the show of like, well, 70% of these failing businesses never come back. And it's like, yeah, because they were failing businesses.
Yeah, that is like a very infamous statistic. I think it's like upwards of 2/3 to 75% of all the restaurants featured on the show eventually closed down. But Gordon Ramsay himself, when he's been confronted about statistics, says, well, yeah, they were going, like, that's pretty good considering 100% of them would have closed if I hadn't like intervened. The fact that I managed to turn 25% of them around, if you notice, a lot of the ones that don't manage to turn it around either sell up because they just don't want to deal with the stress, or completely go back on everything I told them to do, go back to their old ways, and then just fail. The ones that have managed to turn it around and keep going follow my advice.
Yeah, there was one I was watching not too long ago where I actually Googled like what happened afterwards, and
a lot of people like to do, yeah. Something if you watch like the Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares YouTube channel, you'll see people post in the comments. Usually the top comment is just someone telling you, "Is the restaurant still open?"
And one that I found really interesting was the one where there's two guys that are twins that own this like pizza Italian place.
Yeah, I remember that one because they were like really cool guys, and you feel really bad for them, don't you? Because they genuinely care.
But they come across like the way the show presents them is like almost completely useless, especially to begin with.
You want to microwave these meatballs, please? Okay. Come on, work with me. Jeez.
And like they've just, there's no hope for these two. They do not know what they're doing. And then you're looking at it and it's like, no, they followed the advice. It became relatively successful. They sold and made a profit. And it's like, that's a really good story to come out of like, yeah, we are in horrible debt.
It's like the world's most famous chef came in and said, do this, 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 and that, and you will succeed. It'll take a couple of years and some hard work, but you will succeed. Okay, I'm going to listen to Gordon Ramsay, the man who's introducing every show he's on as the world's most successful chef.
And of course, there's me, Gordon Ramsay. I've been in the restaurant business for 20 years and have 28 restaurants worldwide.
We have the series overview. I'm just going to go over the first episode of the first series. That's like probably the most famous one, and you can find like a full example on YouTube, and we'll put clips in, but just this one I think sums up why the show has its name, Kitchen Nightmares. And I believe it's a line from this episode that actually inspired the title of the show, because it was unnamed until they filmed this initial pilot and just heard one of the words Gordon Ramsay said. So series 1, episode 1, Bonaparte's.
Bonaparte's restaurant is in dire straits.
And it's set in Silsden, England. So Ramsay quickly identifies the restaurant as having two major issues. Firstly, the fine dining menu has no appeal to the mostly working class locals. And that's the problem there. And it's something that he addresses like, look, you're trying to sell fancy food to a working class town of people. So, you know, these are good, honest, hard-working people. They don't want to spend, and some of them don't have the ability to spend like 30, 40, 50 pounds on a nice meal. But if you sell like, 10, 15, 20 pounds a head, you could get like, 4 times as many people in and still turn a profit.
Fish bars, cafes, quite a quaint little place, little small Yorkshire town.
It's all about recognising the area in which you live and, offering a service that, is beneficial and attractive to them. It's not about what you want, it's about what the customer wants. Customer is king.
You can't just set up stall in a place where there's no market.
Yeah, and we have here. However, secondly, and perhaps more importantly, the issue is the 21-year-old chef, Tim Gray, who is inexperienced, incompetent, and out of his depth. First evidence as he unwittingly serves Ramsay expired scallops, which cause him to vomit.
How can you eat that? If you knew they were off, why didn't you say?
No, I didn't. I didn't know they were off.
They're fucking minging.
Yeah.
And also, he proves himself unable to make an omelette. A head chef who can't, and I think Ramsay even says, he's your head chef and he can't even cook a fucking egg.
Look inside. What does that tell you?
Slightly overcooked.
Slightly.
Because if people don't know, one of the first things you get taught as a chef is how to cook an egg, because there's like so many different ways. One of the most versatile ingredients in the kitchen. And supposedly, all the folds on the traditional idea of a chef's hat are supposedly representative of the multiple different ways it's possible to cook an egg. Because they say a master chef should be able to cook the most basic of ingredients to absolute perfection without trying, which is why Ramsay on other shows, he's done like Master Chef and stuff. Like the first thing he'll do is, okay, cook some scallops. They're a very simple, easy to cook dish, but them being so simple and easy means a lot of people take them for granted, or don't put the same level of care and effort they would in with perhaps a more complicated dish. If you can't cook the simple stuff, how can I trust you to cook the more complex stuff?
Yeah, and it is just funny because I think that's the episode, right, where he goes round to his house.
Yeah, he goes to his house
and tells him to cook an egg.
And the guy's really surprised. He's like, "What?" He's like, "Can you cook an egg?" He's like, "Yeah, I can cook an egg. Cook me an egg." And he's like in his house, and the guy's laughing, and Ram's like, "I'm not laughing. Cook me an egg. You're a head chef. You've been paid 30 grand a year. Cook a fucking egg."
Right, make me another omelette. Fuck it. Let's go.
And that's the episode where they ask the guy, "So, what would you what do you want to do with your life? He goes, I want to be a celebrity TV chef like you. And you see Ramsay just go. It's like, he cannot cook an egg and he has no charisma or screen presence. Like, I want to be a celebrity chef. Like, you can't cook an egg. Ramsay shows Tim how to buy cheaper produce from the Leeds Kirkgate market and helps him make a meal for his family. Though he's still concerned when Tim botches even this meal cooked with almost no steaks. And that's the one way having up. He goes into the market. He goes, "Have you ever shopped in a market for fresh ingredients before?" And the guy's like, "No." So you're a head chef and you've never bought your own ingredients? No. And he walks him into the market and the guy's buying ingredients and the guy's like, "Oh, so how much are these then?" And Ramsay's just like, ask him if he does a discount for trade. What? Discount for trade? You're a local trader. Ask him if he does a discount for trade. Like, oh, do you do a discount for trade? And they're like, "Yeah, of course we do."
What would you do with a braised steak?
I don't know, really. Maybe barbecue. It'd be quite nice on barbecue, when she gets them going outside.
Braised steak means fucking braising.
But he has no idea that's a thing you can do. Like, you're a local business. Try and establish a working business relationship with the local supplier. You'll get it cheaper, and then you can advertise local fresh ingredients. How do you not get this? And that's why you can see, he has that reputation in the American version as being so angry, but you can see why he'd be upset and frustrated and angry when something that must seem so simple to him, like the cornerstone of his entire career, stuff that must just seem like as simple as breathing is to him. And he's talking to people who are supposedly professional chefs, charging top whack for their food, don't understand the most basic components of running a kitchen. They don't even understand the basic components of cooking in some cases.
Yeah, and I think obviously the answer in this scenario for this one was the dude's 21-year-old and never got trained at all.
He didn't even go to culinary. Gordon asked him, "You been to culinary school?" "No, you don't need to." If you want to be a chef, you do.
But even if you don't have to, at least you go through the ranks of being trained as an apprentice by a proper head chef who knows what they're doing.
Yep, it says here, when Ramsay returns for a revisit a month later, which is one of the things I like about the British version, he always goes back in a month later to see what's going on. He finds the restaurant in an even worse state than when he first arrived. No guests booked for dinner, and the fridges and pantry are found to be full of rotting, mouldy food. Untitled at filming, the series will take its name from Ramsay describing the kitchen as, and I quote, "a living fucking nightmare."
This is not right. This is fucking miles away. This is a nightmare, you know that? Because it's more loss on top of more loss and more loss and more mould.
And that is the one part of the show that I don't like, is when they go through the fridges.
It makes you feel so bad, doesn't it?
And I literally start skipping nowadays because I start feeling physically ill when I see this 2-year-old food sat at the bottom of a fridge.
Do you know what, though? I will say one of my favourite parts of any Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares or Kitchen Nightmares episode is when he just wanders around the fridge in the kitchen. Because it's always going to be a nightmare, and that's why we the American version, I will say, is superior to this because it's funnier. Because that's when they have the zoom in on the mouldy food, and you get some of the best memes from it, just Ramsay being I'm going to mention it, Lucas. The freshest thing in this kitchen is that pigeon.
And the freshest thing in this kitchen is that pigeon flying around. And he's lucky he's still alive.
Which his own YouTube channel made a meme edit of, and it's a pigeon in a Supreme jacket. He says, "Thank you, chef."
I think, we're sitting here running a YouTube channel ourselves, and I will say we will never top the Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares channel in terms of just the titling.
I love the theory that it's run by his daughter. Jokes he's got a TikTok and he just Ramsay just annihilates people on TikTok all the time. And it's just that's the thing as well. He's not only there's probably someone out there who's a better chef than Gordon Ramsay. A lot of people say Anthony Bourdain. He was a great chef and he had a similar zest and love for food. But I think one of the reasons I like Gordon Ramsay so much is that he has this reputation as being the world's angriest chef. But there's a great interview with him where he talks about it, where someone asks him, "So you're this raging arsehole on Kitchen Nightmares?" He's "Yeah, okay, guilty. But when it comes to Master Chef and Junior Master Chef especially, you're a lot more calm." And that's where you get the meme where it's him hugging the girl saying, "Oh, don't worry about it, dear." Then they show him on the show "You fucking donkey!" He goes, "Why do you do that?" He goes, "Well, when it's Master Chef, these are amateurs. They don't tell, they're not, they're bakers, they're homemakers, they're people with jobs. They cook for fun, for a hobby. I don't expect them to be professional chefs, and I'll give them the leniency that they deserve."
Two completely different competitions. Hell's Kitchen's about professionals. And like I said, even before I started working on television, I'd mastered my craft.
Right.
I spent 3 years getting my ass kicked in France, and then literally 8 years, 10 years, like reading medicine, studying under some great chefs to really perfect my trade. So then when I got a chance to sort of do my profession on television, it was Kitchen Nightmares that really started first. So that was real because I wanted these businesses to work. MasterChef is completely different. These are amateurs that have full-time jobs as firefighters, school teachers, bank clerks. And so the journey from apron to finale, they finish like professional chefs.
And you can tell that he's getting frustrated that he has to explain this. Well, you're an arsehole to everyone. It's like, no, I'm not an arsehole to people who are charging you, the public, money for food. It should be held to a higher standard. I'm angry on your behalf. I don't understand why you're not mad that they're doing this, that they're charging you top whack for frozen food you could cook yourself at home.
On this one here, you've got some raw chicken, cooked pork there.
You're being a fucking asshole. This wasn't like this.
Hold on a
It wasn't
minute.
like this. I don't run a kitchen like this.
Hold on a minute. You're calling me a fucking arsehole?
I am.
Yeah, and especially when it's like, as we mentioned, just moldy food out of date, shit like that. Like, there's multiple times where obviously just he figures out halfway through a night this food is out of date and just goes and tells the customers, like, sorry, this food is, out of date, you're not allowed to order it anymore.
And it's like, you can kill someone. And then you'll see sometimes, like, the owner will get mad about, I don't know why you had to embarrass me like that. It's like, you could have killed someone!
Mm-hmm.
And again, he gets framed as being really, like, angry. It's like, but he's angry for a pretty good reason. Like, I want someone like Gordon Ramsay going through every kitchen of every restaurant I've eaten in.
This is not good. Raw chicken!
That should never happen, It should...
Oh my God! Chris, it's fucking chicken against raw chicken!
It's fucking...
Hey, Panini Head, are you listening to me?
Yes.
You're gonna kill someone!
Yeah, for sure. As somebody that worked in multiple restaurants over the years, I definitely want to make sure that, all of the fridges have fresh food rather than just out-of-date stuff or things that, just aren't dated. That's what scares me.
Yeah. And I remember when I worked in a kitchen, I remember I had an argument with, like, a manager about this, where I was like, I walked in on my first day, it was after the weekend, and she walked in, she saw me just throwing stuff into the bin. So what are you doing? We bought all that yesterday. Well, that was all open yesterday. I went, okay, it's not labelled though. Yeah, but I know that it was open yesterday, but I don't, and it's not labelled, so I need to throw it away. And we had this big act, like, cost us money. We'll have no more, like, lemons or limes, like limes. It's like, well, that's not my problem. It's not labelled. You should have labelled it yesterday. And it's just like this whole thing, like, no, you're not throwing it away. I'll dock your pay. And like, okay, so do you want to write down a piece of paper that you're doing this? So I can just take it to the head office, because I know for a fact we're not allowed to fucking... Do you want me to go talk to a head chef about this? It's like, you should be labelling your fucking food. And it's like, some people, they don't understand. So why do I have to label it at home? It's like, you eating it. You're selling it for money. Well, then we have Receptions. Reception for the British version. The programme received generally favourable reviews for its in-depth look into the restaurant industry. For example, Jane Redfern of Off the Telly commented that the show could have been cynically designed to exploit Ramsay's foul-mouthed reputation. If you watch and listen and think about what he's saying and his genuine commitment to his profession in general and the task at hand, it becomes abundantly evident that he cares. And just that stands in stark contrast to the American version, where it's just like, it's fucking raw! Which is why he's such a fascinating individual to look at the success of, because he has this reputation that it's well earned, but I don't think it's entirely accurate. He just really cares about food, and that care sometimes comes across as like being like difficult to work with, because he demands the highest standards of himself and those that he works with as well, which is what he talks about.
Yeah, and people who actually watch the show will probably understand that he's difficult to work with when you're difficult to work with.
Yeah, and I see if you're willing to, and some of the best episodes are where people just are willing to work with him, or they'll take his advice to heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like when people on MasterChef and stuff, it's like the complete just difference between him. And one of my favourite shows that he's done, it got a lot of criticism at first when people first heard the premise, but when the show actually came out, all of that kind of evaporated, where he was going to travel the world, going to various different regions, learning how to cook their cuisine. And that was framed initially as, is he going to go over to foreign countries and show them how to cook their food better? And it's not. It's him going there, learning about their techniques, and then folding them into his repertoire, and then seeing if he can combine their techniques with modern ones, or ones from a Western viewpoint that might change the food. And a lot of the times, the locals prefer the way it's locally prepared, but they will take some of the stuff on board. And he just treats it as it's a huge learning experience for me. Like, I'm going to go to all these different, go to work with ingredients that I'm not familiar with and stuff like that. This is the ultimate challenge for a chef.
The Maori first arrived in New Zealand on pioneering voyages from Polynesia in the 13th century. Although they brought some crops with them, much of their diet relied on hunting and gathering from the forest and ocean. A tradition which Maori chefs like Monique are keeping alive through their cooking.
And I have seen it before where, you know, people will give Gordon Ramsay flack. I remember, like, there was one where I think it was Uncle Roger that was telling him that he doesn't know how to make fried rice as well as he does. And it's like, okay, yeah, but did you grow up making fried rice? Did you make fried rice your entire life? You're probably going to make it better than Gordon Ramsay, but he's going to have a solid knowledge base on a lot of things.
And there's a couple of episodes and shows where, like, people will cook stuff better than him, and he doesn't get annoyed. He, like, takes on board what they say. There's like a clip that goes viral every now and again of him trying to cook pad thai.
Helping me fulfill this honour and privilege is Chang, executive chef at the Blue Elephant, one of London's top Thai restaurants.
And a guy's like, that's not very good. And Gordon Ramsay, like, he just sits there and goes, okay, why not? You just immediately see he goes into learning mode and he wants to absorb everything he can about what's wrong with it.
Well, how is it? Oh no, look at that face.
This is not pad thai at all.
This is not pad thai? No.
Pad thai have to be sweet, sour, and salty.
And like when he gets those criticisms, like, you're not cooking like authentic food in the way that it prepared in the region. Like, I know I'm not, because I'm not from that region. I'm putting my spin on it as a professional chef with 30, 40 years of experience at this point. But I always stop and listen to the people from that region to absorb what knowledge I can and absorb it into my own repertoire. I'm not claiming to be the best chef at cooking like Vietnamese food, but I will say I can cook Vietnamese food. So I've been trained by Vietnamese chefs, for example.
I've been to lots of Vietnamese restaurants in London, and the broth and the soup's absolutely fine, but nowhere near as delicious as this.
Yes.
You're an amazing lady.
Maybe based on, like, the crease in his face, that might be like 80 years experience, I'm not going to lie.
I still think that's the thing. People say I don't know why people say I sometimes like Gordon Ramsay, and it's like, I don't think I look that stressed.
You don't. You don't.
But then we have the American version, Lucas. So Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares is the British version. Now we're on to Kitchen Nightmares, which, you know, the synopsis is basically the same. Kitchen Nightmares, known in the UK as Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares USA, is an American reality TV series broadcast on Fox with chef Gordon Ramsay invited by the owner to spend a week in a failing restaurant. The show premiered in 2007, so 3 years after the original, and then it was revamped in 2018 with Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back, where it's basically just he tries to fix the restaurant in 24 hours, which you can just, that's such an American thing, isn't it? Of like, we want to see you fix it in a big bombastic way in 24 hours, and they give him like a big truck where he drives around America and he pulls up outside in the big truck, and a big team comes in and revamps your restaurant in 24 hours. And the actual benefit of having Gordon Ramsay there, of having his expertise, is almost completely useless because he's only there for a day.
Are you fucking blind?
Yes, I'm just voicing my opinion.
Would you mind doing me a favour?
Yes.
Watch carefully.
And I wonder how much of that is TV production side, and I wonder how much of it is Gordon Ramsay being like, I don't have the time to spend an entire week at a restaurant.
Like, he really doesn't know. He's just busy on TikTok and stuff. But yeah, I think that just sums up like the difference between the American version. And I think one of the key things about the original British version I like is that Gordon Ramsay himself narrates it and writes the scripts. And it's and it's a lot calmer as well.
It is, yeah, but as I say, I think like a lot of that is because the people in the British one, that most of them aren't antagonistic, they've just given up on life.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about when it's framed as it's Gordon Ramsay doing the voiceover, it's almost like his internal monologue, so you get to hear his thoughts as he's going through the restaurant.
He's only gone and given me a rancid scallop.
Whereas in the American version, it's more like third person. Like it's less personable, even though ostensibly the American version is more people orientated because it focuses on like the drama and the family dynamic of a lot of the restaurants and why they're failing. But it's like more of it's more the veneer of authenticity, and like you don't really feel that was any genuine enthusiasm from anyone there.
Back at the restaurant, David is preparing Chef Ramsay's burger.
Let's call this one the Redemption Burger.
Yeah, it is that weird thing, isn't it, of like the difference between American and British TV, and I think the way that those two shows are set up is like a really good encapsulation of that, because it, as you say, it kind of has that almost American veneer of sincerity, whereas the British one is actually very sincere.
Well, it's weird. It's like, that the show is focused on like restaurants and the service industry, because I compare it as the difference between like American service and British service, or service you'd find like Europe, because there's something that you'll see with American tourists, and they go somewhere like France or Italy, and they say like the waiter's not attentive enough, even though like France and Italy and those countries have such a huge emphasis on service as a culture.
Right. What you need to do is fucking relax. A great service is attentive without being noticed. So far, you're making my shit itch. And it hasn't come out yet. That's how irritating you are! Right, ladies.
I've been to France a lot of times, but most of that is specifically just being in Disneyland. So, like, you go into, like, not real restaurants there.
But it's that thing, but when you go to an American one, it's like, oh, they didn't come up and offer me a refill every 30 seconds. It's like, I find that more off-putting as a Brit. It's like if you've been to an American shop and you're walking in 10 seconds, do you need any help? No. Just browse in. Do you need any help? Just browse in. And I find that more insincere and more off-putting.
And I think the thing with most European service is probably that a waiter will be there even when you need them, but they will... need an indication to come over. They don't want to disturb. Whereas, like, as you say, the American perspective on that is, oh, they're ignoring me? So, no, they're giving you space.
Yeah, they're giving you space to enjoy the meal, the ambiance.
I'm sorry, I don't speak.
But this is a French restaurant, no?
Oui?
Name, please?
Parker, Peter.
It's like there's all those great reviews you'll find about Americans who go to Italy, and it's like, well, we couldn't find our waiter wouldn't give us our bill. So did you ask for the bill? Well, no, we expected to get it. But in Italy, they want you to spend as much time in the restaurant as possible. Like the restaurants in Italy will stay open until like 1 o'clock in the morning so you can have a coffee, and the waiter will just leave you until you're done. Like they don't want to bother you because you're having a nice time.
Yeah, again, from our perspective, if someone comes up to your table and just gives you the bill unprompted, that's a sign of like them kicking you out of the restaurant, essentially.
Yeah, but it's one of those differences in culture. But there's a fun part of the American version. Speaking of it being inherently American, lawsuits. So on September 2007, a case was filed by Martin Hyde, the former manager of Dillon's, against Ramsay for 10 separate offences, including allegedly staging disasters and hiring actors to trick the viewing audience. The case was dismissed because the contract signed by Hyde stipulated arbitration in the event of a legal dispute. So you sign a contract saying we can do what the fuck we want.
And I'm sure there's elements, especially in the more produced American version, where, things are set up for drama. But, that's television, I'm afraid. You've signed up for this.
Not to mention as well, like, most of those don't need the drama when you've just got, like, some dude just screaming his head off at his staff or withholding tips. That's inherently going to be dramatic as it is. But in 2018, the Oceana Grill sued Ramsay and the show's production company alleging fabrication. Specifically, they claim that Ramsay staged a scene where he vomited during his kitchen inspection and planted a mouse in a rodent trap to manufacture drama for the show.
The mouse that you planted, I know. They told me. But it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's a show.
It's got nothing to do with TV, nothing to do with your business in the shit. I am not going to stand there and even attempt to take that crap from you.
I mean, if that's true, then that is bullshit.
It says that, that never went anywhere. So then they tried to sue again for using clips from the episode on their Facebook profile, because that wasn't in their original. So basically, they just wanted more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea as well. Like, they staged a scene where he vomited. It's like, man, your food must have been that bad, eh? It was that bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I get, as I said, like the kind of dramatization of TV, that's gonna happen, and even reality TV show, they put like situations in place to kind of make sure that drama happens, so it's interesting. But I would definitely call bullshit if they started planting rodents in a restaurant or something, but yeah.
There's no proof that they did that, but they accused them of doing so. It's like, maybe it was just a mouse, and you're just salty that there happened to be a camera crew there on that day. Then we have Reception. Gina Belafonte of the New York Times found Ramsay's teaching methods to be undeniably hypnotic and commented on his high standards, and commented that the thrill of watching Mr. Ramsay is in witnessing someone so at peace with his own arrogance. So what do you call it, arrogance? It's like he just knows what the fuck he's doing.
You run a shithole of the kitchen. Fuck yourself.
No.
Okay?
No.
Fuck off.
It's still great though when you get these people of like, well, who the fuck does he think he is?
What I do like...
It's like, he's Gordon Ramsay.
One of the best burns he has is when some like restaurant owners arguing with him about it. He goes, oh, do you need to just stand here and feel important that you can run a business? He goes, no, what I do is every single day I call up my restaurant and see it's fully booked for the next 6 months. That's how I feel good about myself as a chef. And just the guy just shuts... someone's like, I bet your kitchen's just as dirty. He goes, well, we're in New York. My kitchen is just down the road. Let's go, shall we? And he walks into his own restaurant unannounced and does an inspection. Goes, let's look at the kitchen, shall we? And it's fucking immaculate.
Okay, I want to show you something. The difference between night and day. This is a kitchen. Have a look around.
All kitchens should be like this.
Yeah, but then we have other critics who've commented that Fox's adaptation of Kitchen Nightmares strayed from the strength of the original Channel 4 series. For example, Maureen Ryan of the Chicago Tribune said, leave it to Fox to take something the Brits did pretty well and muck it all the way up. Never mind the cooking, this edition of the show appears to be more interesting playing up to the family dramas at the restaurants that Ramsay visits, which is, yeah, that's pretty much, the whole deal there. Just they focus more on the drama than they do on the inherent interestingness of seeing a expert in the field go in and be like, hey, you're fucking up in this, and this regard. That's the part I find interesting. I like seeing someone who's like, inarguably one of the most qualified people in the world on this one very specific thing, going in and having to interact with a fucking moron who thinks they know what they're talking about.
I agree, but there is just that element of watchability to the American version.
Of course, that's the thing. They have. I enjoy them for different reasons. Like, I enjoy the American one because it's just really just up their own arse Americans yelling at Gordon Ramsay. Like, you don't know what you're doing. That's not how things work in America. I've got like 12 American restaurants and all doing pretty well. How's yours doing? And it's like, yeah, boy.
I don't care for your restaurant.
I want to take that out there. I dare you. Take it out there. Go on. Give it to them. Yeah, there you go.
What's with me?
Look at me. Why wouldn't you take it out there?
That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Why are you serving it? You don't fucking care.
So, Lucas, I love all the stuff that Gordon Ramsay has done and could talk about it all day. And if anyone in the audience just so happens to agree with that sentiment, they can go click on the links below to find our Discord, where they can find the discussion for this video and just go let us know their favourite Gordon Ramsay moments. That's what me and Luke are going to do right now. So, do you have a favourite Gordon Ramsay moment that you'd like me to put in a clip of? Because I'm going to be putting in the one like, hey, the freshest thing in this kitchen is that pigeon. Just thank you, chef. It's just a little...
I mean,
the pigeon in the puffer jacket is so good.
I can't go this entire video without mentioning Chef Mike. Just...
Explain Chef Mike. 'Cause I remember like Chef Mike is like one of those things where it's one of the few times someone actually gets one over on Gordon Ramsay. He's a pretty clued in dude.
Yeah, but every I can't remember what the episode is. I'm sure you'll be able to
I'll
track it
track
down
down the episode, yeah.
It's just every now and then the kitchen is just like, oh yeah, that's what Chef Mike does.
Who cooked that, Dustin?
That's Chef Mike.
Chef who?
Chef Mike.
And you never get to meet Chef Mike. And Gordon eventually is like, after what, 3, 4, 5 times, we're like, yeah, that's Chef Mike's job. I'm like, who is this Chef Mike? I've not met him yet. And they just point to the microwave.
It's a microwave.
I thought there was a third chef.
He kind of is. He does a lot of work in the kitchen.
We use Chef Mike a lot. Whenever there's lights on in this restaurant, Chef Mike's working.
It's the thing, because you see Gordon Ramsay's face drop as you realise, 1, they're cooking all the shit in the microwave, but 2, he's fallen for it. And I think that's the episode as well, where he throws it out the window. And the thumbnail they have for the episode on YouTube is like the microwave halfway out the window. It's like the title's like, Gordon Ramsay kills Chef Mike.
It's like the Ron Swanson throwing the PC in the dumpster
It's so
moment,
good,
isn't
but
it?
it's just more that thing that you just see his face where he just goes...
Chef Mike, you've been so busy. It's time that you took a little vacation.
Later, Chef Mike. Yeah!
So I like the thumbnails you have on the YouTube channel. And like, there's a couple that just live rent free. One is thin crust pizza has massive crusts, and it's just a picture of this like 14-inch pizza and Gordon Ramsay just being like. Or the other one's like restaurant serves Ramsay grilled lettuce, and you see someone just grilling lettuce on a barbecue grill, and Gordon Ramsay's like, it's lettuce.
Salad.
Come on. It is grilled.
You're still amazed.
I'm shocked.
I've never thought about it, but it's true. Like, wait, why are we grilling lettuce?
Sorry for interrupting, just 2 seconds. But this is a first for me. A grilled Caesar salad. No, but they actually grilled the lettuce.
Why are you grilling lettuce?
Oh dear. I think like one of my more low-key moments from the British one that I always love though is just the dude with the hoard of plates.
Oh, he just got like he's hiding plates everywhere.
It's like, why have you got so many plates? And his hobby is just buying stacks of plates off eBay.
Yeah, and like you see Ramsay just going through, just getting more and more exasperated as he just opens boxes upon boxes of plates. He's like, "What do you even need all these plates for?" And the best bit is, I think he goes back to that restaurant. And he's like, "Have you bought any new plates?" Like, "No, I've not bought any new plates." And like, "Can I check your stock rooms?" Like, "No."
I think he's hiding them in
He's
like the
hiding
attic.
plates. It's like, "You've got a problem. Stop buying plates."
You can go tiling with that thing. You know that? We can retile this whole establishment with these plates. Just look what we can start doing in terms of, look. Already it's starting to look unique, isn't it?
Yep.
And so you said, what Chinese dish on this one?
It wasn't, it was a Japanese dish.
Christ almighty.
But again, you could like feel like his exasperation of like, it must be so frustrating of just.
It's like, oh, I've got a failing business and we've like the kitchen's falling apart, but we do have 8,000 plates. It's like, why?
I love plates. Whereas other people will go and have a holiday or go out for a meal, I'll save my pennies and buy a plate.
And you mentioned like just the little moments that crack you up, and there's a similar thing in an early episode of the British version where he's just talking to the guy of like, "Okay, so I've noticed that you have this offer here of it's like 2 Sunday lunches for £5." And the guy's like, "Yeah, that's our most popular thing." And Ramsay goes, "I'm not surprised because that's a ridiculous deal. Do you make any money on that?" And the guy's like, "No, but it does get a lot of customers in." And you see Gordon Ramsay just go,
It's buy one, get one free. So it's
50%. So you eat here for £5.
Yes.
"But does it make you any money?" He goes, "No, but our customers really like it." And he goes, "But does it make you any money? We need to stop this offer." And the guy's like, "But if we stop that offer, we won't get any customers in." It's like, those customers are costing you money. Their presence in your restaurant is an active... You could not open and earn more money than running this like deal. And he goes, "But our customers like it though." And it's like... And I think, like...
Okay, do the people coming in for that offer ever come in any other time?
Oh,
though?
no, they don't come in for that offer, and they take half of it home with them and eat the next day.
And did you bring your voucher today?
Yes.
Did you bring your coupon?
That's what we did. That's what we
I mean, it's cheaper to come here than it is cooking at home.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, for tourists, it's really mild value.
And Gordon's like, "We'll get rid of that offer then." And he says, "We've had complaints all week of people wanting that offer." It's like, no wonder, they were ripping you off. And I think as soon as Gordon Ramsay leaves, they put that offer back on. And he's like, "Why?"
You must have dementia to only let half your punters pay. No wonder this business is losing money.
You're a business, you need to make some money.
It's like you see it in the American version a lot, don't you? Like, "Okay, we got to change the food to actually be fresh and prepared on the premises." And the guy's like, "Well, you know, some of our customers might not like that." So, you mean the customers that aren't paying your bills?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you give a shit? And he goes, "But customers might complain. Who gives a shit? They're not paying your bills." And you feel he's frustrated. He cannot get across to them. It's like, "But we might alienate the people who already come in." It's like, "But those people aren't paying your bills. If it was enough that they could pay your bills, I wouldn't be here. Maybe you need new people in."
Mm-hmm.
And just no matter how, clearly he explains it to them, their response is always, "But what about our customers though?" It's like, "But they're not paying your bills."
And then the best part is they change the food, and every single one of those quote-unquote loyal customers that will be upset is like, "Oh, the food's so much better."
It's just every single time. All the people who, like I said, there's the people who complain because it's like actually seasoned. And they're amazing. Like I said, there's that restaurant where just he seasons the meat and the person spits it out. And you see Gordon Ramsay just go, yeah, sure. Just, yeah, cool. And you know how annoyed he is about that. But like they're like, "No, this is how we do." Or like just, it's such a good show, and I highly recommend people go out and watch it. Like I said, there's so many episodes for free on the official like Gordon Ramsay YouTube channel. Go enjoy them, enjoy the clips, talk about the show in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe for all that good stuff, and we'll see you all next time.
Listen to it. Hey, listen to it. Did you hear my fucking question? Listen to it. Hey, listen to it, yeah. Hey, listen to it, yeah. Bloody hell. Here I go again. Wake up! You're making me mad! You stupid fucking fat mouth bitch. Unfold your fucking arms. You fucking dick!